actually. Wow. Okay, interesting. Oh, wow. Oh, okay, it's just giving me... it's giving me all my old tips, actually. These are actually old ones that are just going through now. That's interesting. I wonder why it did that. Alright. We are 87% to level 1 on a hype train with a minute and 20 left. Let me see what I missed while we were starting. Stormageddon, thanks for 12 months. How you doing? Whole year. Happy anniversary. Lilac Rosenberg says, I need this to distract myself from my negative thoughts in my fight with TikTok for a week to try to get rid of the transphobia sound. Yeah. Stuff gets rough. Wand Bonk, thanks for 4 months, says, oh hey, the pop-up finally worked this time. Hello, chat. Hey, Wand Bonk, how you doing? Hope you're having a good one. Yeah, and theme parks, too. I'm excited. I love theme parks. I don't cover it a ton, because, you know, it's just not usually relevant, but, conspiratorial thing about theme parks, I'm on board. Briar Rose with 35 months says, close to 3 years. Hope everyone is looking forward to a great holiday next week. I hope everyone gets delicious foods. Bumble Homestead with 200 bits. Nemesaur, thanks for gifting 20 tier 1 subs. Thank you. Terradona, thanks for gifting a sub. Annie Kai, thanks for continuing your sub, 30 months. I know, that was a nutso amount of subs. Thank you, Nemesaur. You're always around and doing that. I appreciate it. 22% to level 5. I'll get my jacket. It's a tinfoil day. Hey, Spokane Dogman, how's it going? Where are my horns? Oh, there. I thought I hit the repeat button on that song. Apparently not. Now it's cute cat music, I guess. Vaguely. Okay, so while we're doing this hype train, we can start looking at the conspiracy stuff. Should be fun. Thanks, Phoenix. I appreciate it. What are we gonna start with? How about some conspiratorial TikToks? I know I don't do TikTok a lot because I'm old, apparently. But like guy strapped to a fan trying to prove the sun is local. That's not gonna work. In fact, I don't even think that's what this is. I think I've seen this guy before. He's just a hobbyist. Weird when you just lie on videos, huh? Oh, thanks, Spokane Dogman. Again, I think this is literally just an unrelated video of, like, a fan person. He does this on YouTube. I've seen him before. That's just his hobby. It has nothing to do with being a flat earther.
If you don't like me,
That seemed
Whatever you're doing, do not.
See, this is why I don't go on TikTok. It's just random shit, and then you finally come across someone you follow, and you're like, oh yeah, okay. Here's a conspiracy guy.
Whatever you're doing, do not scroll past this video. The information within it could change your entire outlook on the Earth, God, and the universe itself. Everybody knows.
I feel like if you change all of your fundamental opinions about the universe based on a 3-minute TikTok, you have bigger problems than whatever this guy's gonna talk about. Just in general, keep that in mind.
The sun governs our 24-hour day.
This guy's pretty big on TikTok in terms of conspiratorial flat earth stuff, by the way. So this isn't some rando. This guy's actually relatively popular for doing this.
The moon.
Starry Beauty, thanks for gifting a sub. 31% to level 5 on the hype train.
Governs the months. 28 phases, creating moons. That's why we have lunar calendars. Stars give us our 365-day year because they...
The moon rotates around the Earth, or rather, sorry, orbits the Earth and is tidally locked with it. Stars, again, we are moving, we we're moving around the sun, and one go around the sun, that's a year? These things have meanings. You can't just make shit up.
realign in
Yeah, I can turn the video down. Sorry about that.
the exact same spot every 365 days. Go out tonight, take a picture of the sky in your backyard, wait 300
Right, that's what you expect to happen, though. Like, let's say if we could jump like 1 billion years into the future, yeah, it would be different. In fact, the Earth wouldn't even be around anymore. But let's say you could, more or less be in the place in the Milky Way galaxy, 500 million years from now, in the future, things would look different. But on human time scales, you don't see these things because on a cosmological time scale, we're a blip. Like, I understand that might be disconcerting to some people because I think especially in, like, how do I put this? I think, and I can only speak to my experience in certain communities. I'm not saying this is exclusive to these communities. I'm just going to talk about communities that I have anecdotally seen this within. So when I was younger, I've told you guys I went to like a fundamentalist Baptist school. So these kind of people tell kids, and I'm not saying they're lying, I don't think they're right, but I think they were probably taught the same thing. So I think most of the people there believe it, But they're telling kids, you're important, you're the most important things in the world. Literally the whole universe exists only because of us. God created it, and we're his favorite children, and everything's about you. So it sets you up for existential failure, because if you're told that as a child, as you grow older, like me, if you start to become skeptical of the claims of any particular religion, in this case, Baptist fundamentalist Christianity, all of a sudden you have an existential crisis of, oh my God, my fundamental identity was in some ways foundationally built upon this idea that I have some sort of cosmic significance that exists outside of just the human level, That's not good for you. That's unhealthy for you, so that when that gets pulled away, it's devastating. And I think that causes some people, like a lot of psychological strain that people undergo when there's cognitive dissonance or ambiguity that causes people to feel uncomfortable. Because people aren't comfortable with ambiguity, and they're not comfortable with opposing beliefs existing at once. Sometimes they'll do the easier thing, in this case, fall back onto conspiracy theories. No, it's not that my foundational beliefs are incorrect due to, parents and community members telling me things that weren't necessarily true. No. Everyone else is lying to me about evidence that disproves what I want to believe, so therefore I'm just going to change the entire world instead of that fundamental belief that was taught to me as a kid. It sucks, and that's not to say that someone like this isn't culpable for spreading this misinformation. Like a lot of things in life, it's an unfortunate gray area, You can both be a victim and victimize others, Kind of like people who get pulled into MLM scams. Sure, they're victims, but then if they continue to try and bring people into it, you're also victimizing others, right? Same thing with conspiracies. There's often reasons people get into them, but nonetheless, they can still harm people by trying to pull them into their line of thinking that is not in line with reality. And magical thinking, not good for anyone, not good for society. It leads to all sorts of false assumptions and beliefs that hurt people. Let's see. First name Bunch of Numbers, thanks for gifting a sub.
165 days until the exact same day next year, and the same stars will be in the same spot, governing how long our calendar year is. But it's not only those things that are cyclical. Meteor showers, I found out, are cyclical. We pass by the same 4 meteor showers every...
In the solar system, there are asteroid belts, and there are different areas of higher concentration of things like asteroids. So if the Earth is in a part of its elliptical orbit, where it's near that, I would assume that would be the thing. Someone else says, no, they don't. So that's funny when it's even just a lie. I didn't even have to come up with a potential different explanation. Is it straight up not real what he just said? That's my blind spot when it comes to conspiracy theorists often, is I will miss the forest for the trees and I'll forget sometimes they just make shit up. It's not just misunderstandings. Sometimes they just say shit that isn't true. So let me actually take a look at that claim and let you know what it says. Are meteor showers cyclical? Oh no, they are. Meteor showers are cyclical when they are... Yes, because they're related to comets. Are all meteor showers related to comets? Hold on. Are all meteor showers due to comets? Oh, those autofills make me sad for humanity. Let's see. Some meteor showers occur annually or at regular intervals as the Earth passes through the trail of dusty debris left by a comet, and in a few cases, asteroids. Gotcha. So it seems like typically, but it's possible, like, if something big broke up in the atmosphere, I guess. Similar idea. So there you go.
Single year around the same time of the year. And you...
Yeah, that's what I like to do. If I don't know something, I want to look it up. I don't want to leave you guys with incorrect information, and if you ever do think I'm giving incorrect information, please call me out. I will admit that, and I will check to try and give the best information I can as a layperson.
You have to believe that we're being yoinked by the sun around a black hole flying by the...
Yoinked? If you want to describe gravity as being yoinked, that's fine, but the fact that you have tried to make it sound silly has no bearing on the reality of the evidence for gravity existing.
The same rock.
Like, gravity is literally just a description of a force that we see. It's not prescriptive, it's descriptive, and it's described mathematically? Which, you know, you can prove math.
Every year. Now, why am I telling you these things? Why would I say this? I want you to go
Flat Earth, by the way, on the bingo card, of course.
Watch a 5-minute video on the Big Bang. I want you to listen to them talk about dark matter, dark energy, these things they don't understand. I want you to watch videos from people like Astro Kobe talking about the Big Bang, where he's like, oh, what was before the Big Bang? Nothing.
We don't know is the answer. And that's fine. Learn to be very comfortable with the answer, we don't know. Because there's a lot of things in this universe, a lot of things in this world, and humans do not know most of them. We know a lot of things, we know more than we used to, and in the future we'll know more than we do now. But we'll never know everything. There are some things that might just not be knowable because we literally cannot observe them, or any evidence of them. And that sucks. I get it. Ambiguity, not fun. Not knowing answers, not fun, because our brains are geared to looking for black and white solid answers. And when we can't have one, our brains aren't necessarily rational, so it doesn't matter. They still crave that easy answer, something you could describe to someone in like 30 seconds. How does this thing work? But that's not how the world works. It's complicated, and often the answers are even more complicated, if not something we just don't know. That's fine. That's fine. Learn to be comfortable with that and accept that, you know, all throughout human history there have been questions that people lived their lives and maybe wondered and just never got to know. And the same's true for you. But that's not a bad thing. You are lucky to live in a time period where you are able to enjoy the fruits of discovery of other people, of other questions we have answered that allow us to, you know, have communication like this to provide entertainment, information, you know, inventing the printing press, developing writing and language in general, technology, society. These are all things we had to figure out, and we'll continue to figure things out in the future. Like, science is not that old. Certainly not cosmologically, and not really even in terms of how long humans have been around. We're doing our best, and someday we'll know more, but not knowing the answer now does not make it acceptable or reasonable or healthy to make up a fake answer just to slot in as a placeholder because we don't have an evidenced answer right now.
They actually theorize in colleges to adults that there was no space and no such thing as time before the Big Bang.
Okay. And are you just supposed to say, that sounds ridiculous? You not personally believing something in and of itself has no bearing on how true or realistic something is. I'm not a physicist. I'm not a theoretical physicist. I'm not anything of that. Whatever. I can't speak on it. Certainly this guy can't. And either way, it's more complicated than either of us have the training for. So, like a rational, reasonable person who lives in a society, bottom text. I have to go, I don't know, but we literally have people whose entire lives are dedicated to learning these things. I'll trust them to do their best. It's fine. It's not a conspiracy.
Oh, and TikTok, this is...
I'm sorry, there's an Alex Jones game? This is probably something we're gonna have to play, right?
First came Pac-Man.
Okay, I know this is just an ad and it doesn't matter, but first came Pac-Man is such an incorrect statement. I don't even know where to begin. If we're not even going back to the pre-commercial era of stuff like Tennis for Two, or, you know, the other stuff that floated around colleges for a while, there were commercial game ventures that predated Pac-Man by, like, a decent bit. Pong? Fucking Pong? Galaga? Like, are we really doing this? Asteroids, I think, with the vector graphics? Pac-Man came out much later, like in the mid-80s. Namco put out Pac-Man. The arcade boom was already happening. That was just a very popular game.
Donkey Kong and Super Mario Brothers. And
that, okay, again, I know it's a stupid trailer. You went from Pac-Man to Donkey Kong to Super Mario Brothers. There's a lot of stuff in between, but okay, it's just a stupid ad. I'm talky today.
Now, the ultimate retro nostalgia throwback game.
Oh, is it just like Broforce? It looks like Broforce, but a ripoff. By the way, chat, I got this super cute cup, and you guys can't see the picture on it yet until I drink more. Oh, I guess you can in the camera. You'll see more once it's empty, but it's a Freddy Krueger cup with like a heart. It's super cute. I love it.
Present to the world Alex Jones's New World Order Wars.
I see a gay frog. That's interesting. Although I think it's supposed to be a drag queen frog with the eyelashes. And I assume that's supposed to be Hillary Clinton.
They're turning the friggin'...
Where did I get the cup? Just like a local store. I don't know where it comes from. Like, I don't even know if... You'd probably have to, like, go on Etsy to find something similar. A local person might have, like, made this. Like, the store carries a decent amount of, like, locally made stuff.
I'll eat your...
But I would assume whoever this is has an Etsy, so maybe, like, search Freddy Krueger heart cup on Etsy. I don't know.
You Nazi scum!
Oh yeah, this looks like Broforce. Like it's, you know, kind of like a Contra... spiritual Contra type game, but with, you know, yeah, okay.
Let's free the
I've never really liked Contra type games, but I'd check it out for the stream.
Patriots and defeat the globalist tech geeks.
We are going to defeat the...
Oh my god, is Trump a superhero there? Holy shit.
globalists. Very big.
It's called Alex Jones. I think it's just called Alex Jones. No, it's called New World Order Wars. There it is.
This game is mostly
It costs $17.76.
peaceful.
Eye roll. I really am curious if it's even like a good game, even just in like an arcadey pick it up, play for an hour kind of way, or if it's just actual trash.
I'm going to lower the world's population. Oh, big
Population reduction on the bingo card?
deal. I'm taking you down, rapist.
I did not have sexual relations with that saxophone.
Oh, it's Bill Clinton. Okay.
Download it now at AlexJonesGame.com, because as we all know, anything badass gets censored.
It's literally on the iOS store. What the fuck are you talking about? Okay, let's move on from that stuff and get into... Let's do the titular video. Let's do Hans's take on Old theme parks. I assume it's going to be Tartaria related. If not, my title is a lie, but I assumed.
This is a video of just some independent research I've been doing. Just
my research said by a non-researcher on the bingo card. We're starting this one off right.
Past couple days thinking about this, and it's a topic that people have brought up before, and I'll show at the very end. I remember it was like just some small part of a John Levi video, and I'm of course not giving any endorsements or anything here, but it was an idea that stuck with me. And he showed a map of Coney Island and said that it was very extravagant, which I agree with, but then also that it looked industrial in nature, and I can't really disagree.
Can you show what you're talking about so I even have a clue what you mean by that?
A lot of that stuff, it does look industrial, and
are you theme parks? I'm so confused by what he means.
There are a lot of things
like, as opposed to what? You're literally talking about Coney Island, a place that had like an old-timey theme park. Like, what do you mean industrial, in that there's like rivets and metal and stuff? Yeah, a lot of rides are made of metal. Even the wooden coasters and stuff have like metal rivets and stuff in them. Like, what are you talking about?
That makes sense about that angle. And all of this stuff, I love this topic of falsified history, because growing up I could always tell that there was something totally BS about the standard narrative, the standard history. I do remember
vibes-based conspiracy?
I remember seeing old-timey photos growing up and getting weird vibes, like things weren't right.
Literally vibes-based conspiracy.
And so it's a topic that I love because it puts a lot of things into place. It gives you the correct perspective to understand that history resets are a thing, and to understand that there's grand cities built all over the world from past civilizations, and that we're living in the crumbs of empires of times past that were...
I mean, we're all living in someone's apocalypse, right? Like the Roman Empire, if someone time traveled to the future, not that you can, but let's imagine someone can from the Roman Empire, as far as they're concerned, you know. It's the like, let's say you took someone from the height of the Roman Empire and even time traveled them to the European Middle Ages. Yeah, they'd probably feel like they were living in the apocalypse, basically. But then, you know, time continued and society continued to change. It's a perspective thing. I get it. Literacy rates went down in Europe during that period, which isn't great. But civilizations have fallen, and then people generally disperse, and new places grow up over time. That's just history. That's not new, and it's not a conspiracy. Like, it's not hidden. These cities aren't hidden. It's not something like that. We're talking about civilizations we know about that, for whatever reason, lost influence or collapsed, and then things changed. Story of humans. We're always doing stupid shit.
Way more advanced than what we have today. And if you don't believe that in terms of computers and stuff,
You can time travel into the future but not the past. It's true. I'm doing it right now. Want to see me do it again?
Personally disagree. I think that there really is nothing new under the sun, even computer technology stuff. People live in a fantasy land and they think men on the moon and stuff. Anyways, getting distracted. I don't personally think that there's anything new under the sun, even what we think of as modern technology. But even to just look at the old photos, even if you're not going to get all tin hat conspiracy, you have to admit that the way that we generally think about the past today is so wrong, and that these people weren't wretched and they were stupid and everybody was...
Hans, if you had the perception that everybody in the past was stupid, that doesn't mean there was a conspiracy to make you think that. You had a misapprehension. And hey, I understand that. I think there's a general cultural bias that makes a lot of people think, like, oh yeah, people in the past, they weren't as smart as us. And I think that's half true. And what I mean by that is, we have more access to information and education today, in, let's say, the United States, than people have for most of human history. Literacy rates in the United States, well, they're not as good as they should be, and I'd like it to be. Everyone can read fluently in whatever language. That'd be great. It's better than it was for most of human history, and that's great. That's good. So we have access to more information, and because of communication technology, we know more things, but that doesn't make us smarter. Our brains are exactly the same, you know? At best, we have more access to nutrition that allows our brains to develop in a more healthy way. But no, our brains are physiologically the same as people from 1,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago, 20,000 years ago. Evolution is a very slow process. If you could somehow take a child, like, again, the time machine, you know, example. If you could go back in time and find, like, an orphaned human child from 20,000 years ago and bring them to today and, like, you know, raise them like a modern child, they'd be fine. Like, if they didn't already have health complications and didn't have anything that was, you know, causing them to have, you know, less than great development, then they'd be fine. So the idea that people look back, like Hans, who look back and think that, oh, historically, they didn't have computers, so they were all dumb. Odd. Very odd. Because, like, I don't know how to make a computer. No individual person knows how to build a whole computer from scratch. We all rely on the fact that society is kind of an idle game. Does anyone play Upgrade or idle games? Or even something like Minecraft, a resource game. You know, you and your group of friends, in this case, human society, gather resources, and then you use those resources to build tools, and then you use those tools to get more resources and more rare resources. This allows some people to spend time learning crafts like, you know, blacksmithing and pottery. We learn farming. All of these steps along the way help us improve ourselves more and better. It's not people's fault in the past that they weren't here, because we are standing on the shoulders of those people to have what we have now. I know I'm talking a lot today, but goddamn, Hans, how are you like this still?
Dying young. How could that possibly
I like Cookie Clicker. Cookie Clicker's my favorite. There's an alien one I've been playing recently that's pretty fun.
be, and yet the most grand
Cookie Clicker's the best one, though.
and
Adventure, I would recommend, like, Adventure Capitalist, because it is funny in the way it makes fun of capitalism, but then they literally are a really shitty game that, like, entices people with addictive personalities to buy microtransactions. So I'm not going to do that. Cookie Clicker's good, though, and they don't ask you for money. So do Cookie Clicker.
buildings that have ever been built that were built to last for millennia have already been built. How could they simultaneously be wretched and uneducated and stupid and
You're the one who is saying that.
know nothing, but somehow they're building the most magnificent structures that
Maybe be less judgmental.
still put us in awe today, and today can not it's a culture thing. We can tell that there existed a culture that's more rich than anything today.
That's interesting. To me, that belies more just a general dissatisfaction with society as a whole, and instead of understanding why that might be, why are you unsatisfied currently, you're saying, something is wrong. It must be that in the past there was an ideal time I'm longing for. Just because you have a feeling that things aren't good now doesn't mean that there was some ideal state that would fix that immediately. That's not how anything works. Hydrate.
And technically, could we build some of the things today if all the but that's where it brings me back to a culture thing. Our culture today is so obviously decayed, and it's people to
I hate when fashy people or conspiracy theorists who are accidentally fascist. Oops, all fascist. I really hate when they say stuff like this. Society is degraded. In what way? That's not some sort of objective analysis you've made. All you are saying is that you are displeased with society. Which part? The art? The economy? the social culture? Like, what specific things? It's just a general dog whistle, it feels like, for I hate everything and everyone and I'm dissatisfied. And there's nothing wrong with being dissatisfied. The thing is, though, if you have specific dissatisfactions, you should try and understand the material reason for that, if one exists and it isn't just a psychological need not being met. And then see, oh, is this something that someone else is trying to address? A politician? An interest group? Some sort of nonprofit? If not, maybe you do something. If there is, join them. Or not. But don't blame the entire world because you're having a shitty time. And then just be like, it's all a lie. You just sound like an edgy teenager.
Today that are dumber than ever, and you just read letters from times past, the way that people used to write to one another. It's breathtaking sometimes, the way simple communications would be. Who the heck were the men in tights? And who was coming up with the filigree designs that's all over the American Illuminati money, and what really was going on? And man, who knows?
Illuminati.
Lots
on the bingo card.
of good questions. So, I've already rambled enough. Let's get to the point. The thing about the technology, one like tidbit. I don't like to save my good information for the end of the videos. I like to
Hans has children. He's not an edgy teen.
front load it. Ferris wheel.
He is married and has children.
Huh, Ferris, like somebody's name, which kind of reminds me of Eiffel for some reason. I don't know.
I think you might actually be right about that. I think a Ferris wheel is literally named after a guy named Ferris. Ferris wheel name origin. Comes from the maker of one of the first examples Yeah, he did it. He did a word origin and it was correct. Holy shit. I knew he could do it. Broken clocks and monkeys on typewriters. Cashel Gladio says, I had a similar discussion with my brother-in-law who's very conservative and accused me of thinking I was smarter than our ancestors. No, I'd know more stuff than they did. Hell, there's things I know about astronomy that Galileo didn't know, but I would never presume to be smarter than that guy. I just have the benefit of having access to information he never could have had access to. Yeah, of course. H-Baird says, does his wife live in Canada? Do we not know her? She's real. I believe she's real. I think she's actually been in a video before. And I suspect the kids have made videos. I don't cover those videos, but on the channel there have been videos that sound like they're made by children. And I think he does homeschooling, so I'm kind of thinking that those videos were him giving his kids assignments, and they basically made conspiracy videos and he posted them. Yeah. Starry Beauty, thanks for gifting a sub.
No, Ferris, Eiffel.
Bad parenting on the bingo card.
I don't know why they remind me of one another.
No, I shouldn't do that, because he didn't bring it up. It didn't come up, I brought it up. Never mind. Reverse that bad parenting thing, because he didn't bring it up. It has to be in the video.
But Ferris, if you spell it a different way...
So it's a different word then, because that's how words work generally. Cool. Cool. First Name Bunch of Numbers says, by the way, people are still building grand monuments to honor and preserve culture. Man builds 3,000 pound sarcophagus to preserve bags of Cheetos for centuries. I saw this. Funny idea. Doesn't want to load for some reason. He did do that though. I think he put it in resin and then like... yeah. That's hilarious.
It means like relating to iron. And
that's a completely different meaning of Ferris. DM Trey says, what's frustrating to me is that he says we're still amazed by what our ancestors built. Bitch, we've made skyscrapers of glass and goddamn International Space Station. Yep.
And so I think that a Ferris wheel, maybe it was some sort of mechanical, it was an industrial related...
I mean, Ferris wheels, the mechanical ones, are engineered. They're industrial in the sense that they are mechanized, if that's the way you're using industrial here. I know I've seen ones before that are actually non-mechanical, but that's not what you're talking about. Nope, named after one of the designers of the Ferris wheel.
System, pulley, or I don't know, wheel system, I don't know what.
I don't know about these Ferris wheels, but I don't trust them.
But they probably just repurposed it and turned it into a ride. And yeah, roller coasters probably repurposed mine carts that were taking
Hans, do you think that the Ferris wheel was the first example of us creating something that was essentially a big wheel that spun around an axis? Around an axle, rather? Because, like, water wheels have been a thing for a real long time.
material from one place to another place, or who knows exactly what's
And also, we had mine carts at this time. Humans invented mine carts.
going on, but
I've played Donkey Kong Country.
I do think that a lot of that stuff could have been repurposed.
Oh my god, is Tartaria just Donkey Kong Country? Did we get all our stoplights from the stop-go zone? Oh my god.
Used to be some part of a industrial machinery, and they repurpose it and turn it into a ride. I think that there's something to that. It makes sense.
His reasoning is literally just based on, yeah, that feels good to me. That's not rigorous. That's not a good way of believing things or disbelieving them.
The mechanisms for, like, the old school mechanisms for doing rides, if it's not all jazzed up like modern day Disneyland with the green buttons and the red buttons to make it more simple for today's people, the machine...
As someone who's been to Disney and Universal and Cedar Point and Michigan Adventure, I've been to a decent amount of theme parks in my time. So there are kind of two sides to, like, a big mechanized ride. There are the simple controls that are for your average worker, you know? This person in their teens or 20s with a summer job, or just someone who works there who isn't an engineer, but they need to be able to operate the ride. You know, green button, red button. But if you also see the control consoles for the rides that have the green and red buttons, they have all sorts of other stuff on them. That stuff the day-to-day operators don't necessarily use. But engineers who actually know how the rides work and need to test them, they use them. Like, we don't just have red and green buttons. The machine is complex and it's engineered. Like, there are entire companies whose job is engineering rides. Aero Coasters, I think, is the name of one, for instance. Raptor Blue, thanks for the raid. Welcome, Raiders. Today we're looking at conspiracy theories and debunking them. It's a lot of fun. We do it regularly. We play Conspiracy Bingo. Make sure you go check out Raptor Blue. What was I saying? Oh, so anyway, there are entire companies whose entire job is being contracted out to design rides for different theme parks. Like, they're not digging things up. They're literally engineers who design rides and then sell them to amusement parks.
Machinery was very industrial-like, the levers, and the times past, there was just a lot of that tech around. It makes me think of streetcars, and that was just a type of machinery that was very common in times past. Makes me think of steampunk, where...
Wow.
People
it's almost like steampunk was a fictional concept developed on the concept of sort of Victorian and Edwardian era, like, steam-powered devices, early industrial period things, taken to an extreme. It's almost like you're putting the cart before the horse, Hans.
Just lived with a sort of different type of technology. People didn't value China plastic stuff and computer chips. They valued...
They didn't exist. We hadn't discovered plastics and other petroleum-based, like... Oh, God!
Mechanical things that could last for a lifetime. And... anyways... this is a strange topic. I've already said a lot, so I want to fly through my slides and figure out the reason I picked the slide that I did, and make a comment and just get through this video. But this is a topic that people could look into. It's like there's a hidden golden age of amusement parks in times past.
You're describing the Gilded Age. Fenekagami says a Tartaria theme park. How could I be late for this?
And I think it makes sense under the lens of these were repurposed old industrial zones that were all over the place.
No, again, this is like the era when industrial, like, the Industrial Revolution was going on. So, like, certainly the equipment had originally been, like, developed for economic purposes, for, you know, creating engines or machines to create products or aid in creating products. But then eventually people figured out, oh, if we take some of these mechanisms and apply them in different ways, we can use them for amusement, and we can make money on that. Because, again, we're talking about people trying to make money. We're talking about the industrial era. We're talking about, like, you know, capitalism. They figured out a way to use existing technology to make money. That's not a conspiracy.
And that's how
Six Flags over Tartaria, that's funny.
they were popping up all over the place. In our modern minds, we think of amusement parks as being like something new that came about with Disneyland. But
No, I mean, the average person might think that because people don't really care that much. I don't blame anyone. But if you're someone who knows anything about theme parks even a little bit, no. Like, look at big theme park channels like Defunctland on YouTube, constantly covering stuff that predates Disneyland, right? In the theme park community of people who, like, give a shit about this stuff, it's well known that, like, even Walt Disney had, you know, very specific parks in mind that he based the idea off Disneyland on. Like, places from his youth, World's Fairs. No one thinks that, like, Disney is the first theme park unless you just don't know about theme parks at all, which is fine.
but this has always been a thing, apparently.
Hydrate.
How can somebody write a book on lost amusement parks of Pennsylvania? Like, why? How is that even a thing? That there's enough?
Because in the past, people didn't write down every single thing about everything, so it's interesting to take a look back at the scant resources that you have, newspaper clippings, articles, whatever, about it, and then trying to figure out what's going on. That's history. That's history, is looking at, you know, primary source documents, secondary source documents if you need to, and then making interpretations and, you know, figuring things out from them based on what we already know about the period. That's just history, Hans.
Enough amusement parks in Pennsylvania that are lost. And what's crazy to me too is how, yeah, it's like every town had an amusement park back in the day. Just like every town back in the day.
Not every town, but there were more local, like, amusement things back in the day because they were cheaper to operate. I don't know how to explain this. First of all, you didn't have giant theme parks that were, like, national or even regional back in the day, you know? Your theme park, if you had an amusement park, would be, and I should say amusement park, theme parks aren't descriptive of what most of these things are. Most are amusement parks. It was a more local thing. People didn't travel as far, so anytime there was demand for this kind of thing, it had to come locally, maybe regionally in some cases. These were smaller things than something you would think of today as an amusement park. In fact, there were a lot of places that were sort of a mix between just a public park area and an amusement park. Like, there are some places that started as gardens, that were just sort of public gardens, or even private gardens you pay to enter and kind of walk around. But then over time, they started adding rides. Usually, at this point in time, rides weren't something, like, you didn't necessarily pay an admission price to come into the park. Some you do. But you would go in, and then you could be there in the garden area with the amusement stuff, or in the park, and then if you wanted to ride the rides, you paid per ticket. Like, there were tickets for the ride. I want to ride the roller coaster. Okay, here's a ticket for that. That'll be 5 cents, please. His fundamental misunderstanding of the theme park industry and how it is very strange, considering he chose to make not one, but 2 videos on this. This is part 1, and it's an hour long, and he clearly didn't do even a little bit of research on this. I mean that in the colloquial internet way, of course. Stromboli says, I'm currently trying to win my wife over on going to Bollywood instead of Disney World for our family vacation next year, in twangy southern accent. Wish me luck, y'all. Good luck. I'd be afraid of Disney because of all the Nazis that hang out at the entrance now. Have you seen that? They literally just hang out with Nazi signs at the entrance to Disney World. World's oldest amusement park. Oh boy. Glenwood Caverns. This is going to be suspect. If you ever see a website that says, like, our thing is the oldest of this thing, gray area. Cool beans.
we are live, so everybody.
Oops, wrong guy. No, it's not the guy who thinks cartoons are real. That's a different guy.
Just to have streetcars that have now been decommissioned. There's just this theme. It makes my brain, like, I can feel the puzzle pieces coming into place, connecting. There used to be too much infrastructure. One of the very first things that happens after a reset is they have to start falsifying history.
You still haven't evidenced any sort of reset.
They are posing all these dead people up and taking 20 different photographs of them with different outfits on and pretending that they're 20 different people because they have to falsify history, claim who built all of these buildings all over the place. They have all this extra stuff that they're trying to either demolish or repurpose, and that's what the mad scramble is right after a reset. And it takes a while. It takes a while for the... After a reset, it takes a while for the whole world to be repopulating. So surprisingly, it can be 100 years after a reset, and they're still writing new BS and digging things out of the mud and coming up with
That doesn't make any sense.
ways to either repurpose it or come up with a backstory that's believable, and it's hardly believable.
For those who haven't seen me cover this kind of stuff before, like the Raiders, for instance, there's a conspiracy theory called Tartaria, the Tartarian mud flood conspiracy, where conspiracy theorists believe that buildings that we have today that are sort of neoclassical in style, they believe that we didn't build those buildings, but in fact they are the remnants of a secret ancient civilization, and that we do not have the ability to build like neoclassical or Baroque style buildings anymore. Even something like Art Nouveau they think is beyond our reach, because they think that big modern skyscrapers that are all glass, you know, they think they're ugly, so they think that they're easier to make than like the Supreme Court building, for instance, or the Washington Monument. You know, it's fucked up. It's fucked up. So they think that, you know, these ancient civilizations were buried under mud in a mud flood, and that whoever, you know, they in charge are, uncover this stuff and then wipe out society in a great reset, or in future tense, New World Order. And they think that all history is a lie. It's a whole thing.
So I don't know. There could be something, and if you think about it, this is just my...
Why lie about resets? Control. Control.
Like roller coaster mind enthusiast, looking at the picture of the Coney Island, like when I think of a modern day amusement park, different roller coasters have different appeals to them. You don't build another roller coaster that's basically the same thing.
Yeah, this was the past. They kind of only knew how to make roller coasters so many ways until, you know, the industry got bigger, and then with the advent of metal coasters. Because reminder, coasters started all wooden, and you can do less with a wooden coaster than you can with a metal one for a variety of reasons. They can take more force on them, you can go faster on them. You know, it's metal. It's stronger than a wooden roller coaster, so you can do more with it. But yeah, a lot of the first coasters were very similar because there was only so much they knew how to do with it.
And there's something to that classic roller coaster design of a lift hill, and then you turn around and you go down and you come back up, and then you turn around and you go down and you come back up.
I mean, that's what a roller coaster is, basically. Like, it just seems like you don't like roller coasters. Like, that'd be like saying, oh, a carousel, you just go round and round and round and round. Like, yeah, it's a carousel. People like that. If you don't like it, then it's not for you. Like, why do they keep making this ham and cheese omelet with ham and cheese? Like, yeah, that's what people are there for. If you don't like that, get a different omelet. If you don't like roller coasters, don't ride a roller coaster. Mighty Azure, thanks for 11 months.
That totally could have been an industrial something. Maybe that's just like a cooling area where, and maybe...
Nope, that's a roller coaster.
Maybe they just repurpose it
I can see it, and I know what roller coasters are, so...
little bit and make it run faster to be an amusement thing. I don't know. But there's something about that classic roller coaster design of you go up, you go down, turn around, down, turn around, down, turn around.
Wait, did I mention cheese? What did I say?
There would be no reason to build
I've been tuning myself out.
10 of the same roller coaster in one amusement park. But looking at those old Coney Island photos, it almost looks like they're building the same roller coaster like 10 times. And then there's like smokestacks next to it. Strange vibes.
Ham and cheese. Shit, I did. You're right.
So, I don't know.
Well, now I want
I'm interested in what you guys think.
I think that you would benefit from some counseling.
You're gonna look at how massive the woman on the right, towers over her husband.
They look almost exactly the same height. and she has high hair. They look like they're probably the exact same height. She just has, like, higher hair? Do you think that there are no women and men that are the same height? Like, I know what he's doing here. Transphobia / transvestigation on the bingo card. Because he does that. But, like, I don't know how to tell this to Hans and people like this. If you look at this photo and your first thought is, I need to suss out what genitals everyone has in this photo, you probably have some issues that need to be dealt with that are, like, deep-seated. I don't know what the insecurities or trauma are that are attached to that feeling, but that is not a healthy or normative response. Yeah, she might also have heels on.
Wow. Yeah, you got reversos going all the way back. A period photo. Yeah, I've already said a lot. And look at this old photo. This photo gives me weird vibes. This makes me think of... This photo was like, man, I imagine that there's rich families out there, families that go back generations. But, you know, how many generations? That's another clue about when the last reset is. You don't know any John Smith the 17. Why is there...
Because people don't usually name their kids Junior for 17 consecutive generations. You know how long 17 consecutive generations would be? Like, I'm trying to think. Let's assume on average you're having a kid at 20. So, have a kid. 20 years, have a kid. This is over 200 years at minimum. We're talking almost 200 years. Like, what are you doing? 340, thank you. Hans, I don't even think most people can trace their family back that far. And even if they did, eventually there's going to be someone who doesn't have a boy. And usually Junior is applied to male children, to the son. So eventually someone's not going to have a boy. And that's going to be the end of that consecutive, like, group of that. And even if you did, let's say you had 17 generations of men in the family, I think you're unlikely to find 17 generations in a row that are willing to give someone the same name, which over 300 years later is going to be an antiquated name anyway.
Or not a John Smith the 17. Well, because the last reset only goes back 5 or so generations.
Oh, did I get your box of cheese? Here's the thing. Oh! Here's the thing about the cheese. It may have been... I'm not joking. Maybe stolen. Maybe stolen. Not joking. I wish I was joking. The cheese may have been stolen. So, you know, a broha picks things up from the P.O. box for me, you know? Very nicely. Appreciate it. And I was asleep, and he dropped it off on the front porch. And by the time we got to it, they were no longer there. So someone got like 2 P.O. box packages because I got porch pirated, basically. So they stole my cheese. That's a shame. But, you know, it is what it is. No. The packages, if when dropped off, will now be in a different place that is secure, away from the prying eyes of porch pirates. Pterodonus says, "Well, that cheese is now illegal."
Generations. The only eighths and stuff are in the history books. So.
In fairness, it could have potentially been like the post office, who just saw packages there and maybe thought we were trying to send them out. I don't know. Funnier story if it's a porch pirate, though, who stole my cheese.
So who knows if they were even real. But this photo, it gives me like Yeti vibes. Like I'm gonna...
That was $50 cheese? Holy fucking shit.
See...
yeah, we've never had anything taken, and you guys send me stuff all the time from Amazon. Never been taken. No one's ever taken a single fucking DVD from my porch. Yet. Apparently they smelled the cheese.
Like I'm gonna see a unicorn or something in this image. There probably are people out there that have family photo albums that have really rare old photos of the way the old world was. That's just the way that this photo gives me strange vibes. They say it's mid 20th century photo, but I mean, just the vibes of it.
What do you mean, just the vibes? Are you an expert on photo vibes?
Like
Now it's nacho cheese? How dare you?
ghostly, otherworldly feeling vibes. Who were these bozos? Who were these people?
Who were these bozos? I hope I never have a photo taken of me that, like, 100 years later, a wackadoo on the super space internet is gonna be like, who's this bozo? Damn, I'm fucking dead. You gotta call me a bozo, too? I'm dead, and you're gonna include me in your conspiracy theory, and within it, I'm a bozo for no reason? I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair. Also impressive if, like, 100 years from now, Bozo the Clown is still culturally relevant enough for that to be a thing people say. That's good. Good for Bozo. Honestly, getting called Bozo is kind of impressive. Like, in terms of clowns, he was top of his field. It's like calling someone Einstein, but like they're the Einstein of clowns. You're a bozo.
People. And they're all always dressed up so fancy. They always have hats on. Was there something weird going on with the sky? Is this where acid rain actually was a thing?
No, hats were very popular back in the day. It was just a thing people wore. That's it.
So,
Straboli says, only John Mulaney should be called a bozo in the 100-year future super internet.
apply your tinfoil hat right now. I believe that part of the last reset had to do with just blowing a bunch of crap in the sky, blocking out the sun for a couple of years. A lot of people would die from it.
Just blocking out the sun for a couple of years, as you do.
Most people would die if the system just shut down. If like the world governments just ghosted everybody, and the transportation systems and all of that, if it all just went offline one day and everybody got ghosted by the governments, which I'm sure is what happens, and
the government ghosted me.
Go underground, and they started
Guys, the federal government catfished me. Womp womp.
blasting ash into the sky for a couple years, and then they come out of their bunkers after a while. I imagine that the weather is really screwed up for a while. A lot of times it's like, aren't you hot? Aren't you uncomfortable? Maybe this is the ice age stuff, the little mini ice ages that they talk about. I think that could be a part of resets. Depopulation, totally destroy the atmosphere so that people can't even survive if they are on the surface, and then they come out of their bunkers and start it all over again. Because who are these bozos? They often look like gangsters.
God damn, always with the bows. Fuck, this is harsh.
And their attire, everybody agrees to wear a hat. What's up with that?
It was the cultural norm at the time. We all agree to wear pants and shirts and shoes usually. Same shit. There were different social expectations. People also wore three-piece suits and big dresses and corsets and shit. Everyone's gotten more casual, and I am here for it. I am so glad that we live in a relatively casual society.
Nobody's like, nah, I don't like hats.
Like, if I can't go to the supermarket at like 11 at night in pajamas, what am I even doing all this for? What is America if not a place I can freely go to the store in pajama pants and not give a shit? To have your photo taken was expensive. Took like 10 minutes, and if you moved, the photo was shaky. Yeah.
It's like they have a one-world society already at this point. They've...
Are you basing that literally on photographs of the United States? Or like the UK? You know that there were different like cultures all around the world, right? Like, if you did a picture from, like, I don't know, China from this same day, people would not be wearing the same clothes. People from the UK might be in the era of, like, you know, imperialism and colonialism in China. But, you know, this isn't what everyone in the world dressed like. This is, you know, Anglo-Saxon, white Englishmen and American cultural garb of the time? Makes it sound pretentious when I say it like that, but you know what I mean. Jitara says, that's crazy, because I have photos from that era, and none of this is documented, Hans. Granted, all of my ancestors were poor black folks, so maybe they didn't count for Hans as far as documenting with historical accuracy. Oof, sick burn. I don't think, for someone like Hans, I don't think he thinks about people throughout history who haven't had their struggles documented as much as, like, you know, people who weren't treated like shit. Like, we don't think about often when we see, well, I hope we do in our sort of political, social group here, that we share similar views on things and we think about stuff like this. So you and I might look at this photo or old-timey photos and be like, you know, oh yeah, this is a small subset of life for people at this time. People of this particular, you know, monetary class, race, gender, whatever things in society are putting them into some sort of category. Meanwhile, like, black Americans are having a completely different experience than this. But Hans doesn't think about that because those aren't the narratives that are at the forefront of different periods of history. It's a problem with how we depict history, too. You know? We always focus on this one thing, the good thing, and don't really think about the context in which it's happening. Reno Redhead with 38 months says, "This guy is why my doctor character in Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, who is incidentally named Hans, has a phobia of worms." That sounds lovely. That's fun. Screaming at the Radio, thanks for 30 months.
I don't know. Strange vibes from this time period. And all the asylums. Oh man, there's just so much to unpack here.
Yeah, in the past, the reason there were so many asylums was multifold. First of all, there were a lot of people in society that, like, people in society didn't know how to or did not want to deal with people that they deemed, you know, words that I'm not gonna say. People with actual mental illness, people that were LGBT, you know, gay, trans, women who just were, you know, not having a good time, because this isn't a good time period to be a woman. So, you know, oh, you don't like your role as, like, a second-class citizen? You must have hysteria. We should probably give you a lot of cocaine and do unspeakable things to you. You know, you can look at the reasons we had the asylums that we had in the United States, Hans. It's a horrific history that ends with an even worse decision by Reagan to, like, oh, let's not reform this thing to make it better for everyone. Let's just fucking stop. And that's had profound negative influence. It's just a whole fucked up mess. You could look this up, but you choose not to. Instead of recognizing a gap in your knowledge, you have decided in your hubris to fill it with your vibes. Oh, I don't know how this works. Well, I just feel like it would probably work this way. That must be right. That's so narcissistic. I'm not talking clinically, I just mean colloquially. That's a narcissistic, overconfident thing to do, even if you had knowledge about this, which Hans doesn't.
But when you understand the whole history reset thing, it all makes so much sense.
Did I see Tesla investors are calling for him to be suspended? Is this specifically about Ross Gerber? Because Ross Gerber is a pretty loud investor in Tesla, and I know, surprisingly, he was actually talking shit about Elon because of his, like, anti-Semitic, like, remarks. Ridiculous. And it's funny, too, because, like, not funny, it's just fucked up that in an era where a lot of people are getting called anti-Semitic simply for not being happy with, like, what... understatement, with being upset and being outspoken against the Israeli government's, like, handling of the situation in Palestine, where they're just eviscerating innocents all over the place. You know, you criticize that, people call you, you know, anti-Semitic. All of a sudden, Elon's like, hold my beer, let me do a real anti-Semitism. He's so out there. I don't know what that man's problem is. Wealth? Generational wealth? Ketamine? I don't know.
I think that there's consensus that the asylums are where they put people that wouldn't stop talking about the old world. If you wouldn't hush and usher in the new world order and make all the...
The Soviet Union used to label dissidents as mentally ill. Yep. I think until 1970 that the American Psychological Association took homosexuality out of the DSM, so it was no longer classified as a mental illness. Societies, unfortunately, have had, and our modern understanding of what we consider, you know, mental illness is more rigorous scientifically than it was in, let's say, the 1300s, or, you know, other times in history. 79, holy shit, even like a decade later, holy shit, that was 79, I can't believe it. Fuck, that's like, my parents were in high school! Jesus Christ, what are we doing? Anyway, the point I was trying to make is that, yes, since the sort of understanding of mental illness came about, people who just don't fit within society's molds, people who are, you know, like I said, people who are maybe not comfortable with the social roles they're placed in, women, often case in these times, or I'll even take an earlier example. There was, back during American chattel slavery, there was a, I'm going to do air quotes, doctor. I don't even remember if he was an actual doctor, but he's certainly not one by today's standards. Literally made up an illness where they were trying to ascribe, like, oh, why do certain people that we have enslaved, why do they keep trying to run away? Thank you, that's what it is. Drapetomania. He literally concocted a mental illness to try and explain, why do all these people we are holding against their will and enslaving, why do they not want to be here? It's a whole thing. So yes, mental illness is certainly a real thing. However, you also need to be cognizant that society in general has used the concept of mental illness to try and stigmatize other and sort of ignore people who don't fit into the regular mold. Like, oh, these people are attracted to the same sex. We don't want to deal with the social, like, ramifications of that, or what it means to our, you know, political and social cultural systems. Nah, we'll just say they're mentally ill. Oh, women are coming in and saying that they hate their lives and hate being the property of men and don't like their roles. Oh, they must be mentally ill. It can't be that the system is wrong. And again, that's not to say that that's what most of mental illness is, you know? Mental illness is a very broad category that encompasses a lot of things. But it's unfortunately been weaponized.
The talking
I don't even
points.
remember how I got on this topic other than he was talking about asylums. Freyline says, Norway would often put the children of German soldiers and Norwegian women into asylums after World War II. Fucking yikes. And H. Baird says, I think Elon has the same problem as Blair White and PewDiePie. He developed a fascist following without realizing it. For Elon, it isn't about money, it's about emotional needs. He's painted himself into a corner since the only people who tell him are good are fascists. I think it goes deeper than that. I mean, he grew up in apartheid South Africa with wealthy parents and grandparents. I think I saw a thing, verify this before you assume this is true, but I saw something about his grandfather who appeared to be pretty pro-apartheid. So, you know, I'm gonna imagine that some of that was already in the family and where he was raised and what he was raised around shaped that. But yeah, he's also... If Elon Musk wasn't wealthy, he would be the kind of person we cover on this show, either on Tinfoil Tuesday or Chud Watch. He's the kind of person who has fallen down a right-wing / conspiratorial reactionary rabbit hole to the point where he has echo-chambered himself to only hear the positions of the right, of conspiracy theorists. I would imagine it compounds issues where he has this perception of himself where he believes he's a genius. He's not. He isn't. He just isn't at all. I'm not even calling the guy stupid. I'm just saying, at best, he's like an average guy with a lot of money and some business experience, which isn't paying off, clearly. If he didn't have the money, he would still be blaming all his problems and the fact that his kids don't like him and that people don't like him. He would be blaming it on all sorts of conspiratorial nonsense. He'd be blaming it on the left, on wokeism. It just so happens that he's rich and has a big platform. He fell down the same rabbit hole that countless other people have. It's just unfortunate in this case that he has power to back up the dangerous nonsense that he believes. How much of it is in earnest and how much is just to further his own political views? Does it matter? Does it even matter, practically speaking? I don't know. I have to urinate. So while I do that, I'm going to put something on for you guys, and we'll get back to Hans. I'm very talkative today. That's probably good. I'm feeling very talky. Be right back.
Today's NSC idea comes directly from the Reddit community. Those guys are wild. They know how to party. Wah, he's measuring by volume and not weight. Wah. All right, so that was 1 cup rice, and this is going to be 2 cups soy sauce. Well, I'll see you in 12 minutes. Oh my God. It's not quite done yet. This is how they make Cocoa Krispies. All right, so we're gonna let it repressurize and try to cook it off some more. Looks the same, but how does it taste? It tastes like white rice with a whole bunch of soy sauce dumped on it. Hang on a second. Gonna fry this rice. I think it's burning. This straight up smells like melted plastic. Here we go! I know you don't need me to tell you this, but there's way too much soy sauce for this to be enjoyable. Whether fried or straight out of the rice cooker, this is a no-go. I'm gonna have to give the soy sauce rice a 0 out of 5.
Ball.
Yeah, that's not surprising. I accidentally didn't do exactly this, but one time I did do like a rice dish, and this is what I had first, like, this is going to be a weird sentence. I hadn't really had soy sauce before. Like, I'd had it once before. I'd never had it on rice, and I was like, oh shit, this is really good. So then the next time I made a rice dish, I put way too much soy sauce, and it was painful, and I assume that's what this was like. It was like I was just eating salt, to be honest. Which, hey, you know, don't knock it, but not good for you. Innocuous Blonde says, I've been reading self-improvement books, the last few months, also attended a company off-site meeting, and I keep seeing references to Elon Musk as this amazing thinker and business doer every time my eye muscles are in danger of straining from all the eye rolling this induces. Anyway, back to it. Oh, I was gonna say, reminder, I'm behind on posting shorts, but they are being made. My editor has sent me all these shorts, and I have a bunch that I have to post, so there's gonna be a tsunami of them at some point. If you see anything that you think is funny or interesting, insightful during the stream, make a clip of it, and it'll be, you know, easier to be used for a short. It's not your responsibility, but if you like something and you think it'd be cool as a short, I'd appreciate it. That's always awesome. And sometimes people are like, hey, I want to support the show and help out, but like, you know, I don't do bits or anything. Makes total sense. Free entertainment. It's great when people donate, but not everyone can or wants to. If you want to help the show out, you could always make clips and stuff. And then, you know, we'll go through them and look for shorts. What about shirts? I've been thinking about it. I don't know what I would do for shirts, though I think that would be fun if we did some, like, merch. I'd have to know what you guys would want on terms of, like, merch. And then I'd probably, like, hire Cassifel or something to do a design and then do, like, a split with them. I don't know.
It's the same lies and talking points and gaslight the people. Oh, yeah, I built that. Oh, yeah, that castle-looking thing that looks 200 years old, I built that last week. If you don't go along with the show, they stick you in an asylum. I believe that.
I like you said, I believe that, as if it's, like, a like, you made this up, Hans. No one else is thinking this. You're acting like you're just dissecting someone else's argument. You are arguing with yourself. Temple of Paul hoodies and mugs. Rublum, thanks for gifting us some. What's my second favorite color? Let's see. What colors are there? No. I just want to know colors. A through F. Here we go. I'm gonna vibe it out. We're vibing with the colors. Chartreuse is kind of fun. It reminds me of like 90s Nickelodeon slime. I don't mind chartreuse, which is funny because I don't like yellow. But I can dig some chartreuse or a dark green, alternatively. That's what I'm gonna go with.
So, oh man, I can't let this video be too long. So I want to go through
This video is 51 minutes long and we're only 13 minutes into it. We're not gonna watch the whole thing today.
the slides. There was one park in Portland in particular that piqued my interest. Portland, Oregon. Oregon is very interesting. I think that what makes Oregon special is it's one of the last untapped places where it's like they knew that there was a bunch of old world stuff waiting out here to be rediscovered, but it was just like nobody went there yet. It was waiting to be founded, and so it's interesting.
So many people don't have any conception of history. Agreed. And mine is pretty bad too. Like I said, I went to a Baptist, like fundamentalist Baptist elementary school. I'm warm, so I'm gonna take this off for a while. Feel like a baked potato. Like I said, I went to a Baptist elementary school, so like my history classes were just I mean, you know, a lot of American history classes are propagandistic to one extent or another, but mine were really bad. So my entire elementary school learning of history was just like, you know, a lot of American exceptionalism stuff.
As the fourth oldest amusement park still in operation, whatever.
And how, of course, because it was a Baptist school, how Christianity shaped America, and how America is Christianity.
Oh, wait.
Except Catholicism, because the Baptists didn't like them.
This is a...
Because Protestants v. fucking Catholics is a whole thing.
Different. I don't think this is the Portland, Oregon one. This is the photos and slides I picked for this are a little disorganized, but I'm just trying to paint an overall picture anyways, so. So these people had a lot of leisure time, I think. And I think that's part of why these amusement parks could pop up everywhere, is I think that they had a lot of time for amusement back then.
No, people had, I mean, You're painting such a broad statement, I don't even know how to properly address it unless I just tear apart, like, explain why that statement isn't helpful in this context. So there are all kinds of different people, and what I mean by that is that within society, there are, like, hierarchical structures that intersect with one another. You know, some people are wealthy, some people are, you know, white or black or Asian, and society contends with where you are in this hierarchy in different ways. Like, these things are social constructs. Again, like, racial stuff, racial hierarchy is a complete nonsense social construct with no basis in reality. But it is a thing that, unfortunately, societies, America as a big one, have included as sort of their unofficial hierarchical social structure. So the idea that you can say everyone had a bunch of leisure time, well, a rich white person is going to have a very different experience than, like, you know, average black person in America at this time. Women versus men, rich versus poor, just depends. Did I have the Abeka curriculum? That's why what my Baptist school had. Yes, we had the Abeka books. They were expensive as a kid, too. Like, this was a private school, and my parents were paying for me to go there, unfortunately, and the books were so goddamn expensive.
Because
I have some around here that someone sent me. Maybe it was you that sent them, actually, because, you know. But, yeah, they are wild to look at.
They had it was like kids in a playground. All of this infrastructure everywhere waiting to be reclaimed, and the populations are still low. There's not that much to do, and there's
not that much to do. How about building the railroad?
That's why I think crazy thing. That's why the times feel so.
That wasn't what these guys did. That was, you know, underpaid, poorly treated immigrants.
Oh, chaotic and wacky. The wacky times.
All right, I think I'm done with Hans for a while. I've spent like half the stream talking about this, and we're like a quarter in. So we'll save the rest of that for another time. I do find the theme park stuff really interesting. Forrest Espion says, Hannah, do a crazy book stream. Show us your Christian school books. That would be good. We've done book streams before. I think it's probably time for another one of those. That'd be fun. I have Christian weird books around here, religious books, conspiracy books we could take a look at. Let's look at the bingo call sheet, because we got a bunch. Okay, did you guys see that I was able to actually chroma key... I was finally able to chroma key her. I don't know if you guys noticed. It's in the opening. I'll show you. Look at that! I got rid of the background. That only took like a year. I'm so good at my job. Okay, bingo card. Illuminati Freemasons. Tartaria. Nope, that's the wrong one. Conspiracy theorist tells on themselves. Weather control. Forced sterilization / population control is a motive. Doesn't understand architecture. My research said by a non-researcher. Hannah mentions Blu-rays. I mentioned DVDs, but same diff. Hannah mentions cheese, of course. Vibes-based conspiracy. Racist disbelief of historical achievements. Flat Earth. Ancient wisdom? Yeah. Alright, I think that's it for now. Back to it. Oh god, are we gonna do Chris? Why not?
Good.
I need this Blu-ray for the lenticular. Oh, Rabid Grannies. I have Rabid Grannies. I didn't get the lenticular cover. It is a cool cover, but I don't like slip covers generally. I think the only one I do have that I really like is another lenticular one, but I already have that movie without the cover, and I'm not going to buy a movie just for the cover. Still fun, though. Would believe sci-fi tech exists applied to steampunk. I'm gonna say no. I think that more applies to the Tartaria stuff and the mud flood stuff. I'll say it's a subjective call, but that's the call I'm making.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be. CC here, Chris, from New York, Westchester County. It's 11/9/23.
These are old donations that are coming through now, by the way. That's why I'm not going to mention them except for this.
Let's review a few things with you. And I want to get into natural clouds with you, water vapor.
Man yells at clouds on the bingo card.
I'd also like, and I brought this up in previous videos of mine, where if somebody loses a limb, maybe a finger or something, okay, their body still thinks it's there, okay?
So phantom sensations can be a thing, sure.
And I believe that these are memory cells that they're feeling.
What?
In their body, you know. Now, if it's
memory cells in their body? What?
Cell has memory.
Okay, so there is a known thing where one of your senses, you know, we talk about usually like the 5 senses, you know, smell, touch, hearing, sight, whatever the other one was, sensate. I know I said touch. whatever the other one is. Talking to ghosts. But there are actually other senses that have been, you know, documented and talked about. Taste. Thank you. I forgot about taste. One of the sensations that we have and senses we have is a general idea of where our body is. Like, I don't see my hand right now. It's outside of my vision, including periphery. But I know where it is, spatially. Like, I can tell you where it is. With my other hand, I can go, because I know where it is, even though I'm not looking at it. That's a sense, is your body's ability to know where its body parts are. Proprioception. Thank you. That is the name of it. So, let's say you experience something new. A finger, a limb, something is amputated from you. Your sense of that proprioception doesn't necessarily catch up right away. So, like, yeah, your body can think there's something there when there isn't, and it gives you phantom sensation. That's a thing that happens. It's understood. It's not about, like, the cell having memory, whatever the fuck you even think that means. Because literally, the cells you're talking about don't exist anymore, because they were on, in this case, a finger that was cut off and disposed of, probably through, like, you know, burning it, because it's medical waste. Like, where are these cells, Chris? In the finger that's no longer attached? Are the cells in this empty space?
So, we've never seen one
Proprios
before,
and proprietary.
I really haven't. Get a microscope, or have you seen a
Proprio.
neutron star? Have you ever seen one of those? Oh, sorry. If a cell can...
This has made me wonder, as someone who plans to undergo bottom surgery at some point, does phantom limb syndrome apply to other extremities?
Hold memory.
It does! That's weird. Huh. That's a shame.
Why couldn't water hold memory?
What? What do you mean, why can't water hold memory? Water is literally just like, you know, hydrogen and oxygen molecules? Or atoms formed into a molecule? Like, what about that is gonna hold memory? What do you think that means?
I know. Follow me on this for a second.
Is that a Baja Blast? I'll count it. Baja Blast on the bingo card. I'll count it, Baja. She's telling me not to count it, and she's the blaster, so I gotta respect that decision. Never mind. No Baja Blast on the bingo card.
I want you to think about clouds that are moving from continent to continent.
Oh, that's interesting, H. Baird. I want bottom surgery so badly.
That very well, I believe, could be gathering information and sending it to the next continent.
You think that clouds... Oh my god, does he think clouds are memory because people save things in the cloud? Does he think that it's literal? Does he think that clouds are like hard drives? They're like memory storage?
Okay. Water vapor.
What's the definition of Baja Blast? It's when my wife, Baja, will generally, quite vociferously, is that the right word? Quite excitedly come in and debunk some science bullshit, because she is a scientist. Logar says literal vaporware.
What?
He's not that old, is he? I think he's like mid-40s, early 50s. I don't know his exact age. Don't know. He's definitely talked about, like, living through the 80s and a little bit of the 70s, so he's probably around my parents' age. Probably 50s would be my guess.
Itself. How? I have no fucking idea. But it very well... I mean, we live in a simulation here, guys, okay? The clouds up there have to be, other than weather, have to serve some sort of purpose.
They're just a thing that exists because of how physics works. They're not for weather. Their purpose isn't weather. They don't have a purpose. They're just a phenomena that exists in the world. What?
and they're chemtrailing us like fucking
Chemtrails on the bingo card. No, chemtrails aren't real.
maniacs up there. They have to be doing something.
Or, alternative thought, you are wrong about your entire worldview.
Okay? If they were killing everybody, everybody would be dead. They're doing a slow kill? I don't know. I really don't know what those fucking chemtrails are up there.
They're water vapor. They're called contrails, and the only chemical in them is water.
And what exactly they're dumping out or off out of the airplanes. I have no idea. And I'm not going to get... That's not the reason for this video. It doesn't make a difference. That'll be covered in another video sometime. I don't know when. Now, what happens if the chemtrails... And I've seen this myself.
And you're trustworthy.
When they go through clouds, you know, remember I call them lollipop clouds, you know? But the problem is with that is they don't stay like lollipops with a stick coming out and a nice puffy, you know, cloud up in the sky. It actually morphs and turns it into this flat gray shit that the sky is right now if you look behind me.
If you're talking about contrails that are sometimes left behind by airplanes and the fact that they disperse over time, again, that's because it's water vapor that over time is dispersing, because that's how that works. Again, it's physics.
Okay, and it'll be like this for a couple of days. Possibly some rain, maybe not. But what happens if that, by dispersing that, that's killing the memory of these clouds that are...
Oh no! They're erasing the cloud memories!
Going from continent to continent. Now follow me on this real quick, okay? Look,
it's like Total Recall mixed with Memento, but it's a cloud.
There's a reason why there are pyramids all over the world.
Because pyramids are a good way to stack rocks, so they say stacked up for thousands of years.
Okay. On this flat plane. And it could be also the 100th monkey, but hold on. I've spoken about that several times. But let me go back. And what happens... Now, in ancient technology, they could have had technology that we obviously don't know about. I mean, they could have had anti-grav. They could have had ships. They could have had all sorts of stuff back then.
And the entire universe could have been invented yesterday with all of our memories intact. See, you can just make up shit. You can just make up shit.
That it went from continent to continent and shared their knowledge with...
There's no evidence of that, Chris.
With the people that are populating that area. That could very well be, too. I don't know. But I think there might be something with the clouds, too. That when they're going around all over from continent to continent...
It's like he thinks of clouds as some sort of, like, platonic solid that, like, this is a cloud, and there are X amount of clouds on the Earth, and they just go around it, and sometimes they're in one place and sometimes they're in another. I don't think he understands what the water cycle is. Like, does he think that clouds are, like, static objects that are, like, a specific volume that is always in the sky and just moves from place to place? Like, when it rains, that's the same water from the cloud that's coming down, and then water that evaporates goes up and becomes clouds. It's not the same clouds. It's like the cloud of Theseus. Like, what do you even mean by a cloud? A cloud is comprised of, like, all of the water molecules in it and all the other stuff. Like, I think there's little, like, particulates and stuff that can get, you know, attached to the dust particles, and when enough of that, or water, and when it does, they can fall down as precipitation. But, like, what does he think a cloud is?
Somehow or another, they're gathering possibly information. And
Hannah puts her head in her hands. I'll trust you on that one.
And dispersing it to another population. I don't know, just, you know, follow me, all right?
Like, it'd be like talking about fog. Like, fog is similar. Like, imagine being like, yeah, look at that fog. I wonder where it's gonna go tomorrow. Like, what do you mean it's gonna dissipate? What are you talking about?
We're having fun here. It's flat Earth. Everything is possible. I'm serious. Everything is fucking possible.
Except a happy marriage. At least for you, Chris.
Okay? NPCs,
For those who don't know, Chris's wife hates him.
real quick. All right? These are the people that are walking around wondering what the hell's going on and what they should be doing next. Perfect example. I was at the gas station the other day, and this happens sometimes. It's happened to me. I get gas all the time because I drive.
That was a wonderful prelude to your story explaining why you need to get gas for your car, Chris. Thanks.
Sometimes when you fill up your tank with gas, all right, it doesn't stop. It keeps going, and then it spurts all over the place.
I have never once in my entire life had this problem. I know I'm, like, not as old as Chris, but does he not know how gas pumps work? Does Chris not know to stop pumping gas? Like, when the tank is full? Like, what is he doing? Chris, what?
Now that's...
He's from New York.
Something to do
So no, he's not from New Jersey, as far as I know.
with the pump.
I guess he lives in New York. I don't know where he's from. I'm not doxing, by the way. He says it in the beginning of all his videos where he's from. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how he thinks gas works. Andronicus Khan says, fun fact, octopi don't have a sense of proprioception. The feedback from that many limbs with that much articulation would overload their brains. Instead, octopi have 9 brains, a central brain and 8 smaller secondary brains that control each limb separately, essentially interpreting general suggestions from the main brain. That's how I work too. Got little brains strategically all throughout my body. Hydrate. That way if one goes down, I'm good. It's all decentralized. It's like the blockchain for my brain, except not a scam.
Pumper could be something to do with your car. I'm not sure. I'm not a technician. Okay? I have no idea what that is and why that happens once in a while. A girl next to me experienced that. And, you know,
So she didn't know how to use a gas pump.
she has her baby in the car. That was one of the first things that she said to me. Oh my God, my baby's in the car. What do I do?
Do none of these people know how to fucking use a gas pump? I feel like am I the only person who has never had a problem with a gas pump in my life? Like what is this?
You see, she needs to be told what to do. She has no instinct.
That's not how women work on the bingo card.
You see what I'm saying? All right, with something like that. She probably has instinct with other things. But with
Pretty sure it's just New Jersey.
something like that happening, you know, my first instinct would be,
Because he's in New York. So if this story is, you know.
hey, just wipe it off of the car. Take some Windex or whatever you got around that's available and wipe the gas, area right there where the gas has gone over onto your paint of your car, which will destroy it if you don't get it clean. And just do that and spray the wheels a little bit, you know.
Did Chris just recommend someone spray their car tires with gasoline? He meant the Windex. Oh, thank fuck. I was gonna be like, in case anyone needs to hear this, under no circumstances should you spray anything with gasoline at a gas station. They will not be happy with you.
Other than that, there's nothing you can do. All right, but she needed to know what to do. You see what I'm saying here? Are you following me on this? All right. So, what I think is with these clouds.
Every pump I've ever used in the U.S. has a thing that automatically shuts it off when your tank is full. I've literally never had that not work. I'm not saying it's impossible. Things malfunction. I understand that. It's just weird that Chris is treating this like it is a habitual issue. It's really not.
Flat Earth out there, and it's coming. Believe me. Millions and millions of people are coming out on Flat Earth. But it's coming.
Not really. pretty much flat Earth has reached, like, at least for this bout of its conspiracy revival, like, started in around 2017, it reached max capacity and it's been dropping. You're not really increasing in numbers. There's not an easy, objective way to look at this, but based on the data, based on search trends, views, comments, and newcomers that I see or used to see coming into the flat Earth space, just doesn't really exist anymore. You don't see new people often. It's pretty much the same group of people making content, struggling with the few followers they have at this point. It's not a growing movement.
Could be a reset, too. All right. She needs to be witnessing the reset. See, some NPCs you can't get to. There's just no way. They have no hope. Okay? They believe Biden's doing a fantastic job. These are the people that I'm talking about. Okay.
If you try to fill the tank after it's auto shut off, you can overflow the gas tank. Right, but that's not that's a user error. That's what I'm saying. If the thing goes, all right, your tank's full, and then you go, fuck you, a robot can't tell me what to do, and continue to try and fill it, that's not an issue with the equipment. That's an issue that you're a psycho and need to calm down and learn to take directions.
They believe they live on this spinning ball in space. You know, they believe all of this nonsense. They believe the scientists are telling them that...
But that's what he's talking about, and I'm pointing out that that's his fault. That's the point. We're not disagreeing. It is his fault that he's doing that. He's acting like it's an experience that is universal. It's not. It's a problem if you're dumb and don't know what you're doing.
They live in a galaxy and in a solar system. They believe all of this. And when you go and approach them and tell them that it's all bullshit, they can't get it out of their head.
No, you're just wrong and haven't provided evidence.
That they've been lied to. Okay. All right. Anyway. So I think that's it. That's one of my beliefs of, you know, the clouds, that everything needs to be reset, an update, shall we say, where everybody just wakes up. See, it's NPCs will wake up once the reset does happen, okay? And that's the reset that is going to happen at some point. Why not?
Some sort of millennialist, like millennialist conspiracy theories are a kind of conspiracy theories that are often, but not always, they're related to apocalyptic conspiracy theories, but not always. Like a millennialist or millennialism conspiracy theory is one that believes, like, a new age is coming, a new age is dawning, and all of society will be changed, and how we do things and how people think is going to change once this conspiracy is found out. That's the kind of stuff you see with, like, the Great Awakening, with QAnon. Often they're comorbid with apocalyptic stuff. For instance, QAnon again. QAnon is millennialist in the sense that it is looking for a great awakening, but the apocalyptic event is the storm. So you can have conspiracy theories that are like millennialist, like this that Chris is doing, that don't have the apocalyptic element, that like day of retribution, that day of whatever, the righteous being rewarded and the corrupt unbelievers being punished. That's sort of apocalyptic doomsday cult. Millennialist is the concept of believing that a new age is dawning and you are aware of it and no one else is, or a very few select people are. Fenekagami says, me and a conspiracy theorist are tracking a family of apes through the jungle. We come across a location they just migrated from, and there are piles of sticks and rocks that are pyramid-like. CT says, who built these? Why are they here? I reply, the apes did it. They were bored. CT fires back smugly, that's what they want you to think. How could apes be smart enough to make these? This is the basic thought pattern of the average conspiracy theorist.
Again, who knows? But it's going to happen soon. Platforms that have millions of subs to it. Some are real, some are not, but, you know, who knows? I thank you for subbing, I thank you for viewing my videos, and let me be a part of your life.
Oh, angry Chris. Angry Chris. Hey Peter, how's it going?
15 years ago, 15 years ago, a man named Peter Hanna became aware of a secret depopulation event, which
Well, that's not true.
was gonna kill millions and millions of people through biological warfare. So
You said billions. Sorry, I almost called him Chris. Peter, you've said billions, just for the record. You're wrong, but keep the story straight.
what does he do? He tries to warn them by creating a novel that he hoped would go viral and wake people up to this horrible biological depopulation
Is there a time when Chris isn't angry? Maybe when he's asleep?
event, but he failed. His novels just was so boring, and almost nobody read it. And
I read one of them. I read it to all of you. So that's good. We're probably the closest thing to a Peter Hanna author fan club. That's interesting.
now we're living in those future times where that biological
That doesn't seem like it's good for your throat, Peter.
depopulation event is happening and millions of
Alfred!
people are dying, and I have to wonder, am I living in some type of dystopian horror movie? Because sometimes it feels like that. My
We're watching a movie on the bingo card. Stone Corbell says, it wasn't that boring, it was actually pretty entertaining, just not in the way you want. True.
name is Peter Hanna, and I tried to warn the world with my really boring book called Cannabis Paradise.
I feel like you're being so self-deprecating, unnecessarily, Peter. Chill out, you're fine.
Please don't read it. I'm gonna take it off the internet. It is insanely boring.
Okay, apparently I need to get that before it disappears forever.
But I was using it to try to warn people that
Peter's in his 30s.
need
Like mid-30s, I don't know the exact age.
to go the natural path when it comes to healing. And if you go this transhumanist modification, horrible allopathic therapeutic industry avenue, that you would be cold like the sheep that you
Sheeple on the bingo card.
sometimes are. I just want people to wake up, you know? Just wake up. But, you know, it
Wake up. Make up. Table.
happens. Unfortunately, a lot of people, and I hope I'm
We do have bad parenting on the bingo card, yes.
wrong, but a lot of people are gonna get damaged through the allopathic.
Oh wait, no, sorry, we don't. I was gonna, but then we didn't. For a second I thought about it, and then I decided not to because it wasn't actually in the video. So no bad parenting so far on the bingo card. Apologies.
Medical industry. You know, I've said in my previous videos that food, I believe food is a leading factor for death worldwide.
Diet? Sure. Diet in terms of, like, for instance, in the United States, people who have heart disease or other health conditions as a result of their dietary habits? Sure. Not what you're saying, though, Peter. What you're saying is not evidenced.
And I also believe something another naturopathic doctor said, whose also name is Peter, and he said that medical therapeutics are the #1 killer in the world.
Wow, another unlicensed person practicing medicine illegally without a license, arguably, in my opinion, said a thing? What a citation, Peter.
So, if we go...
Another wackadoo believes with my wackadoo beliefs. Can you believe that? Forrest Espion says, hey Hannah, will be time to see this short 10-minute video. It's a new ager woo-woo conspiracy guy who, surprisingly, is very pro-LGBT plus affirming. Don't mind the title. It is meant to surprise the audience.
Many people today are...
Oh, I actually have this person pulled up. But it was it this one? Yeah. I actually had them pulled up for a different video. But I'll definitely save this video specifically so we can watch it as well. I don't know if we'll get to it today, but we will get to it. I saved it just now.
Go the natural way, and we eat all organic food, drink clean water, clean, natural, breathe natural, fresh air, and use natural medicine, then we're healthy.
And
That
then
means we're
get attacked by a natural bear and come down with natural cancer. The word natural is not a synonym for good, just for the record.
trusting nature. Then we're trusting our creator, God, who's like, hey, use nature. It's great. You'll heal. You'll be fine. And all those people are
Is that God's voice? Is that what God talks like?
doing freaking fantastic. But the people who are like, I'm not going to research it, the medical industry's got it figured out. I'm just going to eat whatever I want. And when I have health problems, I'll go to
Did Peter put gel in his hair? He's becoming an anime protagonist. It happens.
the doctor. Well, now you're falling for both traps. The whole, I'm going to eat whatever I want, and then I'm just going to go to the doctor and go to the hospital to fix my problems. You're falling for two traps. The two traps are killing more people than anything in the freaking world. Hi guys, my name is Peter Hanna, and I am making the most useful health reports on the internet. And this one really is about how if you trust God, if you trust his natural healing system, which is our body, which is incredibly good at healing.
Hey, Peter, did you know that people die all the time? And historically, people die a lot more when they're not given access to modern medicine? What you would call allopathic, aka fucking medicine. You know, if the human body was able to heal itself so easily, we wouldn't have invented medicine. Our body isn't a perfect thing. In fact, it kind of sucks in a lot of cases, so.
Trust natural medicines, natural fresh air, natural fresh water, and
natural fresh water, Peter. You know that if you find like a freshwater body of water, that doesn't mean that it's automatically clean, right? Like you still need to sterilize that water, or at least boil it. Like Peter, you know you can't just drink any water that's outside, right? Because I think that's important for you to know since you have children. Fennikagami says, at least with that hairstyle, he'll have more personality than the average harem anime protagonist. Over my head.
Natural fresh foods. And if you use that, the people who use that are the healthiest people in the world. The healthiest people in the world. And that
source?
That is the way to live. And these people are, just look at them. Find these people who are all granola, hippie people who are going full throttle, like natural. Everything has to be natural. Everything has to be devoid of toxic chemicals. These people are so healthy. And look at these.
Again, based on what? You feel that way. They say it, I'm assuming. But what data are you using to come to that conclusion? Your feelings? Because feelings aren't data points?
These people who are like, oh, I'm gonna eat whatever I want. And then when I get sick, I'll just go to the doctor and go to the hospital. It's like, okay, so you're poisoning yourself with one of the leading factors for death, which is a poor diet, right? And
again, Peter, like, doctors, real doctors and hospitals do tell people to change their diet if their diet is harming them. If it's, like, not giving them the nutrients that they need. That's a thing that doctors do. It's weird that he acts like they don't. He never goes to the doctor, so he doesn't even know what the doctor is like. It's so interesting. He makes all these assumptions about doctors and hospitals, but he doesn't go there, so he has no idea what they're like, but he assumes?
And then the number one killers in the world, the terrorist organization pretty much, in a sense, they're kind of like the medical industry could be controlled in a sense by a terrorist organization, but the doctors are good. But either way, people are
wow, that was a lot.
are dying in the medical industry. That's why Peter
doesn't understand his problem is capitalism on the bingo card.
Glidden says medical allopathic therapeutics are the number one killer in the world. So you're going to that.
That's a lie. You're just lying. You're literally lying, Peter. Stop it.
Industry that's killing more people than anything. I'm pretty sure. I mean, this is what
I'm pretty sure
Peter Glidden says, and I can't disagree.
Peter Glidden. I feel like we looked this guy up. Is he a crackpot? Peter Glidden. Oh, yeah. He's a crackpot. First of all, you can tell these are self-published based on the covers. They're called Everybody is Sick and I Know Why, and the MD Emperor Has No Clothes. So, yep. He's, a grifter. Fun stuff, Peter.
Pretty much agree with him. So you're going from this...
He has a phobia of doctors and hospitals, and I think the cult he belongs to feel this. Yeah, the cult probably is... Cults try and block people off from any resources, so a hospital, where you might be like, I'm being hurt, or I'm not having a good time at this cult. Yeah, they're probably trying to instill a fear of medicine, so people are afraid to seek help from any outside sources. But Peter also is a conspiracy theorist, which again, he probably got from the cult, or at least it exacerbated the issue. But either way, yes, I think this conspiracy, a lot of it is based on his fear of hospitals and doctors, whatever the reason.
This industry that is killing the most people, and then when you have health problems, you can go to this industry that's killing the most people. It's like, that's the worst plan ever. Are you kidding?
It's almost like you have a misapprehension of the actual reality of the situation.
Kidding me? Are you kidding me? Just eat whatever I want. When I have health problems, I'll go to the allopathic medical industry.
No one says this. What are you talking about? And if they do, they're aware of the, like, health issues. Like, people aren't doing that and assuming it's good for them. The kind of person who's like, I'm gonna eat nothing but shit all the time. Like, yeah, I don't think that person generally is like, I'm doing great. I think people know that. They just, you know, make different choices. Killjoy says, explaining the harem joke for non-weebs. Harem protagonists in bad animes are almost universally a brick wall who simultaneously want sex from any woman with a pulse, but also can't pick up on cues from the cast of women who all fall madly in love with him. Within one 22-minute episode, up to and including just showing the protagonist's full frontal nudity, saying they want to have sex and protagonist just passes out with a nosebleed. I watch a lot of bad anime. It sounds like it. I assume they're a brick because they're supposed to be a self-insert character. Alright then.
They're both trapped, guys. Come on.
As opposed to Peter, who is trapped by multiple Russian nesting dolls of cults, which is sad.
Come on. So that's why in my novel I predicted that there would be a depopulation event, a biological warfare. The sheep would be 100% damaged, destroyed, poisoned, and even their intelligence would be damaged. And the people who are going the natural way, natural medicine, natural everything, that they would be immune from the biological warfare. Because
the only chance Peter has of being a leader in the future looked on with in awe of his intelligence is if everyone else gets brain damage. And even he seems to know as such. That's depressing.
When I say biological warfare, I'm talking about if you are healthy and if you're using natural methods to improve your health, you'll be fine. The biological warfare comes through mostly chemicals, toxic chemicals.
Peter, everything is chemicals. You're made of chemicals. I'm made of chemicals. Every food you eat is chemicals. Chemicals is not a dirty or scary word. It's just what everything is. Matter is chemicals.
And it can get more complicated. Who knows if it's more than toxic chemicals? Maybe it's robots in our bloodstream.
Believe sci-fi technology exists on the bingo card.
I've been looking into that a little bit. It's crazy.
He's been looking into the blood robots. Don't worry about it. He's got it handled.
As it sounds, I've seen some videos that suggest that...
Hold on, I think I have Fantastic Voyage around here somewhere if that would help your research, Peter.
That there could be some
hydrate
type of robots, little micro nanobots that have been injected into people. Again, I can't prove it. I've just seen some weird videos. If you're
wow, it's almost like you're incredibly credulous about this kind of thing.
Shit I'll talk about in the future, but there's more than chemicals. It's now like radiation and nanobots and all this stuff.
Radiation and nanobots? Word salad on the bingo card. He's just buzzwording.
That is killing us. But the thing is,
I wonder if we'll throw a quantum in here somewhere.
This is the move to transhumanism, and it's a very satanic way to
Satanic on the bingo card. That's also not what transhumanism is, Peter.
go. If you don't really believe in God, if you're not really religious, you're just going to be like, oh, I'll be swept away with what the medical allopathic industry says. And then they're eventually going to be like, oh, you got to upgrade, do this, we got to upgrade your body, upgrade it. Oh, you have genetic flaws, you're so flawed genetically, you need to upgrade. And then we have all these problems like, oh, see, I told you were genetically flawed. Now you need more upgrades, you know, let's shoot you up a million. But it's like that.
Peter, you are catastrophizing. It's completely fair to recognize that biotech and the future of it is going to encounter, like all burgeoning industries, a lot of ethical issues. I completely agree. But that's not what you're talking about. You're just scared of things because conspiracy and general vibes, and that's not a nuanced take at all.
Is what's hurting people. And so, yeah, I know I'm a little scatterbrained right now, but the point is, the people who think...
I don't think we had thinly veiled anti-Semitism yet, no.
For themselves, who do research, and I'm not talking about Google, I'm not even talking about DuckDuckGo.
Ooh, DuckDuckGo.
Because...
my favorite academic resource.
Because if you Google it, if you Google health information, you're going to get the information that is propaganda and harmful. If you DuckDuckGo health information...
he can tell it's propaganda because it doesn't say what he already believes.
You're going to get propaganda because they're bought up too. The 3 website sources that I trust for health information right now are Dr. Axe, Dr. Mercola, and Mike Adams from Natural News. And they're not perfect.
Oh my. Natural News is a shit show.
But between the 3 of them, you can find most of the health information that you're looking for. And if you really want to learn a lot about health, I am dedicating this channel to health. But the gist of it is this: you have to go all natural. You have to go full throttle, all natural. Natural water, natural air. Filter your water. Get an air filter. Use a diet to filter out all the toxic ingredients.
Your diet can't filter that doesn't mean anything. What are you talking about, Peter? Your diet doesn't filter anything out of your system. That's not how our digestion works.
All the toxic, low-quality food out of your diet. A diet is essentially...
like, your liver filters things. That's what it does. That's the job of your liver, right? It has nothing to do with what you're talking about.
A filter, just like there's a water filter, air filter. A diet, if you're not on a diet, you're eating an unfiltered amount of toxic food. Anything goes.
Such as?
Like
toxic. Ooh, scary word.
Eat anything. But that's destroying your health. If your health is not severely damaged yet, it is at least mildly damaged, and it will continue to get worse. I've been there. I was in my invincible 20s, and I eat whatever I want, and then I was literally eating like candy and pizza. You know, that was like my food that I was eating. I was like, oh, I'm invincible, I'm young, I can handle it. Absolutely demolished, destroyed my health. Now...
right, that's great, Peter. That's awesome. Like I said, yeah, your diet should have, like, a balance where you get nutrients and everything that you need, correct? That has nothing to do with your particular pseudo-nonsense that you're trying to sell people. Literally. For those who don't know, he's now selling a diet program for, like, hundreds of dollars. Andronicus Khan says, joke's on you, Hannah, I'm literally eating filters. That'll do it.
Healthiest diet in the world, which is a diet I created, called the medicine diet. I'll be talking about
citation
this more
needed about the healthiest diet in the world
in future health reports.
Why does it look like there's like a security tag on Peter's jacket? Do you see right here on him? I don't think that's what it is. It's just, is that his lav mic maybe? I hope that's a lav mic. What the fuck is that?
But this is the point. We are in a major depopulation event. If you trust God,
citation,
if you trust in natural healing systems and you use them, you will thrive. You'll be healthier than anyone else. But if you trust the white coats, you know how the red coats was the enemy back in the day in the United States. Oh, the red coats.
That was because of the military uniform of British soldiers.
They're the enemies. Now it's the white coats that are
No, Peter. No, they're not.
enemy. It's a new term that people are starting to use because they're
Don't try and make fetch happen by saying a lot of people are saying this.
losing trust in the allopathic industry.
It's these guys. Is it the Austrians? It's the fucking Hessians.
Because, as Peter Glidden says, the allopathic therapeutics are the #1 killer in the world. So this
Again, you're repeating that as if it is objective fact, and it isn't.
whole thing of, and a lot of people have it, unfortunately, I'm just gonna eat whatever I want. I don't need a diet. I don't need a diet. Diet is just a food filter, so you don't eat toxic stuff. Every human being.
A diet is just descriptive of all of the foods that you eat, and the amount you eat.
Must be on a diet to be healthy, or they will be unhealthy. Guaranteed. If you're not on a diet, you're gonna be unhealthy. And if it's not a good diet, you're still gonna be unhealthy. And believe me, most diets suck. That's where I created the best diet in the world, because I was tired of mediocre diets that were not backed by enough research and were
not backed up by research. And by research, he means feelings he has about things he eats.
Updated. My diet, the medicine diet, is updated monthly with the latest scientific research on ingredients. That's why it's so effective. That's why it's helping so many people. And so...
Sorry, Omega Mart makes you think of kinky fanfic. Clean up in aisle 7. It appears that, an Omega has set up their nest there.
Ultimately, what we have to do is go all natural in every way, in your toothpaste, in your shampoo. If you have any questions on how to go all natural, how to filter your water or your air, or which shampoo to get, or which toothpaste, like, let me know in the comment section. I'm happy to help people. I love helping people. I really want to. I mean, I wrote a book to warn people about this whole COVID event. I warned people about this 15 freaking years ago in my book, and I freaking failed at warning people because I was an awful writer. What can I say? It's the first time writing a novel, and it was dreadfully mediocre. But the warnings in there about what was going to happen in the future, I was hoping that could wake people up. It didn't. It only sold like a few hundred copies. The point is, now
you know what,
we're
Peter?
in that.
It's more copies than my book has ever sold. I don't have a book, but still. A couple hundred copies isn't nothing, I guess.
End time.
I'm gonna write a book, and it's gonna be called I Decided to Write a Book. Buy it to find out all the things that I have to tell you, and then you're gonna buy the book. And it's gonna be blank inside.
Time scenario where, unfortunately, we're being poisoned to death. And unfortunately, the people we've been taught to trust are the people who are poisoning us. Oh, trust the food industry. We have the highest quality food standards in the world, the United States. Oh, trust the medical industry. We got the most.
I mean, like, I think in the United States, generally regulations have been, like, too lax, and the power of, like, regulatory agencies like the FDA has unfortunately been weakened over time. But yeah, things like the FDA, I'm very glad they exist. That's good, Peter. It checks so that even when things do happen, like outbreaks of something like E. coli, you know, in the food supply, that gets caught and traced, and then warnings are sent out. Like, the FDA does that, Peter. Like, they try and be proactive, but when they do miss something, they do their job. I don't know why you're painting them as evil.
Most advanced medical industry in the world. The United States is amazing. It's like both those avenues will kill you if you're not careful. Though there are a lot of life-saving doctors out there, surgeons, trauma care. I love it when, like, I destroyed my arm, fell off.
Oh, the medical care he received is good, but the medical care you need is bad, and you should pay him money. Staggering hypocrisy on the bingo card. Tea with Goblin says, missed an opportunity to call it Hannah Reed Loaded. I'll see myself out. See, this is why I can't write. JP Black says, sorry, Hannah, but I'll wait for the audiobook. It's just going to be me ominously breathing into a microphone for 10 hours. Cashel Gladio says, came across this video on Starfield, and it's such a perfect distillation of a chud having a paranoid persecution complex that I had to share. Ooh.
What?
Pronouns in space. Let me save this for Chud Watch. Chud Watch. There we go. Let me listen to it just a little bit to see what it says.
What does Starfield do that's new? What's the new experience that we
No, it's another Chud. Same video game they're talking about, though.
get with Starfield? Well, one thing that's new is that this game is explicitly an ESG compliant product, meaning that we have affirmations of modern gender queer theory.
What is ESG? What is that? I don't even know what he's talking about. ESG.
There's an anti-white angle to the game where
What the fuck are you talking about? Oh no.
we have a quota being met vis-a-vis racial representation, but also, I guess,
How dare this story about the future of mankind include people of all different backgrounds, ethnicities? As far as this guy's concerned, the future is just white dudes, I guess. Fenekagami says, fucking pronouns!
yes,
Ooh, hype train.
this game would pass the Bechdel test or whatever, the feminist test.
The feminist test. The Bechdel test. Okay, first of all, the Bechdel test. Second of all, the Bechdel test is one example that was used by, like, a feminist, like, writer once. It's not the end-all be-all, nor does she claim that. It's entirely a thought exercise to express how much of media is centered around male existence and not, you know, the existence of women. It's not an end-all be-all test, nor is it meant to be. Holy shit. Stone Corbell, thanks for gifting a sub. Movies or books. But yeah, it was posited, I believe, by a feminist film critic. By a feminist film scholar.
The male
It's the idea that in a movie, are there any scenes where two women characters interact and their conversation is not about a man? A lot of things don't pass that test, which in and of itself doesn't make any movie anti-feminist or unfeminist in isolation. The problem is a pattern as a whole, when you look at this at the history of cinema, two named women too, thank you. It's rare, which illustrates a general problem that the stories that are told through cinema are mostly based around men, and the women in their lives are usually props or secondary characters. Again, that's not a judgment on any individual film. It is, however, something to point out about media, and media speaks to the culture that produces it. So it speaks to the culture that we live in. But I guess all of that explanation required a little bit of nuance and learning, and chuds don't like that.
gaze shunned as is commonplace within the modern entertainment industries. The character
ESG is environmental, social, and governance standards. Essentially, don't be a dick. Include people who wouldn't usually get a chance in this industry, by what I understand. Oh, okay. So, like, just, you know, yeah, not being a dick. Okay.
To create
42% to level 1 on the hype train. We're not going to watch this whole thing right now, by the way. I was just curious how bad this is.
I look at all of the presets, you know, it defaults to an Asian, blue-haired, middle-aged woman.
Do you want all the presets to be different variations of brunette white guys? Kind of not the point of having default characters that you can then edit, right?
I'm flicking through, I get an old white guy who looks about 75 years old. You know, you keep going, and it's like...
75-year-olds don't exist in the future. We're gonna Logan's Run this shit.
Other Asian woman.
Oh no! There are no Asian people on Earth. Is he genuinely unaware that, like, the majority of the population of the Earth is not white people? This game takes place hundreds of years in the future after humans have colonized space. Does he think most people in space in the future, if we were a spacefaring species, does he think there wouldn't be a lot of Asian people? Like, yeah, there's a lot of Asian people in the world. So if humanity continued and spread out amongst other planets, Yep. So they're not all gonna be white guys. What in the world? Minute left on the hype train. Killjoy says, Florida banned ESG requirements in public institutions this year because Florida. Oh boy. Can't wait for that to sink into the ocean like Atlantis.
Black-looking, angry, feminist lady. Okay, keep going, keep...
This is just straight up, like, white nationalist shit. This is wild. 30 seconds. 72% to level 1.
Going. More women. Literal, genderless blob. Okay.
What?
And then the men that are there, the white men that are depicted in the presets, look sick. They look sickly and weird and grotesque. None of them look...
Are you serious? Then fucking make your own character. These are literally defaults. Customize a character if you don't like the presets, you weirdo.
Based. None of them look heroic. No...
None of them look heroic.
Commander Riker. You know, we don't have a Flash Gordon preset with this game because...
Okay, then make that. Womp womp. Didn't make it to level 1 of the hype train. Thanks everyone, though.
This is woke science fiction.
What?
Which...
Unlike classic science fiction like Star Trek that never had representation.
Ultimately diminishes the value of the product in
what?
My eyes massively, because I'm not looking to engage with modern hipster bullshit identity politics.
Asian people existing as hipster identity politics?
I don't want...
No, me mentioning it doesn't count for the bingo card.
Pronouns in my character select. I don't want divisive anti-white propaganda.
Oh, this person's just like literally a Nazi type fascist person. That sucks.
My escapism. Because that...
Right, okay, but here's the thing. Like, escapism exists, but even in fictional universes, like gravity usually exists. You know what I mean? Like in fictional universes, you know, there are things that are different, but there are most things that are the same. That's often what makes them relatable. So, like, you know, LGBTQIA plus people exist, non-white people exist, women exist. So if you're writing a fictional story about humans, those elements are going to be there in that universe somewhere, because that's just a reality of humans, whether or not you want to acknowledge that. Chitara says, none of this is anti-white propaganda, though. He could just make this character he wants to make. It's an RPG, dog. It's not that deep. He's looking for stuff to bitch about.
That's what BGS games should be. That's what Skyrim is to me.
He really liked the Stormcloaks, didn't he?
Escapism. That's what video games really should be.
The people like this just make me want to bang my head against a wall, like they aren't understanding that pretty much all escapist media still has themes, still has lessons, and I wouldn't even call the fact that, like, you know, Asian people in Starfield, that's not a theme, that's just, you know, reality. Like, what is he even talking about? Escapism, I would say that pure escapism with no themes, with no moral, difficult to find. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but it's rare. It's not the norm. Dr. Worm says, it's very telling when a person's idea of escapism is living in a world with certain groups of people don't exist. Sounds like he should just read the Turner Diaries. Like, it sounds like that's his version of escapism.
In a society that hasn't been ruined by these crypto-Marxist psychopaths.
Oh yeah, this guy's a straight up fucking like, oh yeah, he's doing the thing. He's doing the thing. Holy shit.
With a severe ideological...
Please no politics in games. Chitara says, again, with the Skyrim, I guess he liked that it was set in a predominantly white country. Also, non-humans and red guards existed as playable races. He didn't bitch about that, I bet. He knows the 14 words, probably.
Logical bent. And even when I just want to play a fucking video game at the end of the day, they want to make sure I engage with their politics.
It's reality. It's reality. Like, what do you... Like, this would be like... I'm trying to even think about an example.
It's not enough that they're free to do whatever they want, having total control of culture on a mainstream level.
Yeah, that's definitely how I feel. I feel like I'm in control of every situation. I don't feel scared to go outside because I might be randomly assaulted. I feel very in control, guys.
I will be forced to engage, compelled. And of course you have these apologists that are like, oh, if you don't like it, just mod it out, you know? It's a Bethesda RPG, just...
I don't even think that. I think you should fuck off. If that's your criticism, fuck off. Don't play this game.
Mod it out. And it's like, well, I would do that. Modders managed to remove the pronouns on day one, and its nexus...
This was actually hilarious because the pronouns thing didn't even work right. It defaulted everyone's pronouns to they, them, so it wasn't even a functional mod for what they actually wanted. It was hilarious. But anyway, it got deleted from the Nexus anyway, which is like the biggest mod repository site on the internet, because they have a zero tolerance policy for bigotry. You know, anti-LGBT stuff, racist shit. They will not deal with that, and they get rid of it. Which is great, and it's one of the reasons I like them.
It's mods that are removing those mods. And remember when the libtards and the centrists would say, well, make your own. You know, if you don't like the industry, make your own. If you...
Sure, go for it. You're on the right. You probably believe in the bootstrap thing. I know, we're watching more of this than I intended. But I think this is tinfoil-y. This guy's essentially just doing white nationalist conspiracy theories. That's a conspiracy, even if it is also Chudwatch.
Don't like censorship, then make your own.
I'm gonna say we're done with the Peter video, because frankly, what is he gonna say? We get it. I am interested in this now.
Platform, and it's like, well, okay, we're literally modding it out so we can enjoy the game.
Hey, if you need to remove other people because of their identity from a game, maybe you have, like, issues that you need to deal with in therapy. Stromboli says how these guys think every meeting starts at media companies these days.
Kill Whitey!
Oh. Tommy Boy. Wait, not Tommy Boy. The other one. The other one that's like Tommy Boy, but not about the auto parts manufacturer. It's about the political campaign. Black Sheep. Is it Black Sheep? I'm gonna say Black Sheep. Thank you, Sandras.
And there are wokists embedded within the fucking mod site. The
wokists are coming from inside the house. Have you considered that the world hasn't been infiltrated, but your opinions are just what's the word I'm thinking of? The minority? I know you probably wouldn't like that word applied to you. But yeah, have you considered that within, like, video game people, you're in the minority? Just saying. Like, even people who aren't, like, proactive allies, right? Like, even people who aren't really interested in, like, you know, trans activism or trans allyship specifically, I feel like the general opinion is still like, I don't fucking care. Like, whatevs. Let people be. That's pretty much a common opinion I hear, especially from younger people. Is just like, even if they're not super staunchly like, fuck yeah, trans rights. The most common other than that I hear is usually like, who the fuck cares? What are you doing? Who cares what other people do? They're so embedded in their own insecurities and weird culture war bullshit, they assume that any opposition to them and the fact that they aren't winning the culture war, however they want to frame it, it must be a conspiracy. It can't just be that we're losing in the you know, the marketplace of ideas that they seem to be so fond of, like, gesturing at. It has to be a conspiracy. Captain Squid says, conservatives, we believe in the marketplace of ideas. The marketplace. Okay, bigotry's out. Conservatives, not like that. Yeah.
Open platform, open mod site where anyone can...
It's actually funny. I'm not even kidding. The fear-mongering, I don't know if I've talked about the origin of the Illuminati, but the Illuminati as a conspiracy theory started because in Belgium, there was an actual guy who basically started a cult. It was the Illuminati. It was like a weird private group that was culty, and it got broken apart. There weren't that many members, relatively speaking. But anyway, the newspapers ran with this story like, oh my god, there's this secret organization that was planning to do all these things. And fun fact, this was also around a time period where, like, you know, New ideas were getting popular. Oh, maybe the aristocracy isn't such a great idea. Maybe monarchy doesn't make a ton of sense. Look at all the things that have happened in, like, France, you know? However, some aristocrats went, no. People aren't just sick of, like, the system as it is. People aren't sick of aristocrats. You know what they're sick of? Reality. It's gotta be the Illuminati. The Illuminati must secretly still be in existence, even though the head of the actual Illuminati was charged with a crime and fled Belgium. So anyway, basically, it became a conspiracy theory amongst, let's call them conservatives, reactionaries, basically people who wanted the hierarchical status quo that, oh, the common rabble aren't upset because we're actually doing anything wrong. It's a conspiracy. The Illuminati is brainwashing them into believing that revolution is the only way. So, it's kind of funny. That's how the Illuminati kind of got spread as a fake conspiratorial group. It existed for a brief period, didn't really have any influence, got scapegoated by people in power, and then it got picked up by the press and spread everywhere throughout Europe, and then the Americas.
And contribute? Yeah, no, we're not allowed to fix this issue. This is the regime ideology. It is beyond criticism.
No, you can criticize whatever you want. You're doing it right now. I'm just going to criticize you and call you, like, weird for this, because you are. And a white nationalist, which is not a good thing to be on any day of the week.
Will engage with it. You are forbidden to avoid it. This is totally...
No, pretty sure those mods still exist. You just have to go to a site that isn't the Nexus. The Nexus is a private business. Again, if you're on the right, don't you agree with the right for them to do their business as they please? They don't want bigotry on their platform. Go to a different platform.
Normal. Nexus mods having a normal one. As if the existence of things like ESG mandates is in any way defensible. In what...
Okay, sure, I'll defend it. Not being a dick and being inclusive is a good thing. Cool beans.
we pretend is like a democratic society when these authoritarians wield their power.
They're authoritarians for designing their privately produced video game however they would like to. You're the one who's trying to dictate that this piece of art, media, whatever you want to call it, be catered specifically to you. You're the authoritarian. You're the one who's saying, no, I don't like this. We should make it not okay for them to do this. Do you see how you've reversed roles here? That's funny.
With a complete disregard for individuality or the experience of others, really this is about...
Oh, his bigot feelings are hurt because his bigotry isn't being validated. So other people being validated for not being bigots is an affront to his bigotry. Genius.
About control and dominance and ideological purity for them, while they
Literally just stop being a dick.
scapegoat the young white male in society. Like they say, that guy's the hateful one. It's like that.
I'm like on new game plus 10 in Starfield. I'm not being hyperbolic. I just got to the 10th multiverse. Spoilers. I do not remember a single time in this game where race has been brought up. Zero. Like, the main villain of other than the main plot of the main story, like the UC plotline, the main villain of that isn't a white guy. Have you even played the game enough to know that? Like, what are you doing? What are even your points here? This is vibes-based conspiracy all day.
That guy just wants to play Starfield with no pronouns.
Literally everyone has pronouns. Mass Effect had pronouns. They changed whether you picked male Commander Shepard or female Commander Shepard. It's literally the same thing. There's just a they-them option.
Is that really so terrible? It doesn't affect you. It doesn't affect your enjoyment of the product. Well,
right. It shouldn't.
Of course. It does affect them in that they must have compliance.
Not must. It's a nice thing to have, though, and it doesn't take anything away from you. The difference is, other people have been given something. You did not have anything taken away from you. That's the difference.
It's not enough for them that they've already won the culture war, basically.
Oh, have we won? Shut the fuck up then. If you think we've won and you're not allowed to talk, then shut up. You said we have so much power. Shut up then. Oh, I can't tell you to do that? Oh, you're allowed to say whatever the fuck you want, so you haven't, you know, whatever? Maybe shut the fuck up then. Which is it? Is it that there's a small group of authoritarians trying to force inclusivity into games? Or is it that the majority, or at least a significant plurality of society, has moved on past your beliefs? Because either way, again, if you think that the culture war that you perceive as existing, if you think you lost it, great. Shut the fuck up. Sound like people in the South being like, the South will rise again. Cool, cool, cool. Don't think so. Maybe get a life. I'm sorry Gamergate didn't work out for you. Please find a personality. H-Baird says, I'm guessing he's one of the people who doesn't know what a pronoun is and thinks it's a queer thing. Probably.
They need you to agree with them. They need you to...
I don't care if you agree with me. You just don't, you know, get to assault me or tell me not to exist in public. That's it.
validate their worldview.
I don't give a shit. I don't respect you. You can think whatever you want. I'm gonna make fun of you, though, because it's fun.
Because that's what these corporations are doing. They're...
Sorry, I know this isn't, like, intellectual at all. As an exercise, this is just so masturbatory. I'm just dunking on this guy because he's a obvious loser. It's a little cathartic, though. I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of enjoying it.
validating a lot of this ideology, and that's their job. You know, Bethesda itself is...
Oh, thank you, Spokane Dogman.
...validating extremely dubious theories on gender and sexuality.
Not really. You're also not qualified to make that assessment. Also, does this guy think that there aren't queer people in the gaming industry? Like, there are specific, like, online groups of gamers that are, you know, like, oh, groups that are, like, LGBT gamers, or gamers, spelled like Gaymers. Specifically because, historically, I think it's gotten better, though I've never spent time in a COD lobby, so I don't know what it's like today. But, like, there are a ton of LGBTQIA plus people in gaming. Historically, they've been silenced, though, because those spaces have often been quite hostile, so people created their own spaces, but continued to enjoy the hobby to the point where we are today, where, again, most people, in particular younger people, are accepting of others, and it's just, again, part of the community. You're not upset because you're being stigmatized. You're upset because the gaming community as a whole is doing less stigmatizing and gatekeeping for women and queer people. That's it. That's what he's mad about. He's not mad about something being taken away from him. He's mad that the gaming community isn't only defined by his particular identity, by his particular beliefs. That's what he's mad about, and it's pathetic.
Sexuality that largely originated in this early 20th century Weimar period of Germany, where degeneracy was being normalized and intellectualized, pedophilia was normalized, you know, there was a real cult.
Jesus Christ, no it was not. There were, this is actually an interesting point that gets brought up by chuds. They'll try and affiliate pedophilia with LGBT stuff by pointing to specific philosophers from a specific period who conflated the two and going, see, they're the same thing. No, those people were wrong. Those people were wrong? That is not the opinion of virtually anyone who exists, and it's certainly not how people in the LGBTQIA plus community.
Cultural rot happening in the country at that time, which led to the rise of you-know-who, and those two things aren't a coincidence.
I'm sorry, did you just imply that, like... Yep, he did. Okay, moving on.
You know, one is a reaction to the other. That's the history. That's what the book burnings were about. If you wonder why
Oh, there it is. Yep. Okay. Yep. Here it is.
Germans were burning books, where they were burning the pseudoscientific texts of sexologist Magnus Hirschfeld, and he...
Some books on, like, gender and homosexuality and stuff were burned, along with the works of, you know, anti-fascist writers, other intellectuals, communists, liberals, leftists, Jewish authors, you know, all of the groups targeted by Nazis? You're defending Nazi Germany right now. Like, I know he knows this, but come on. He's not even Nazi posting for, like, clout. This man has 8,000 views on this video. It's not even, like, a viral video. What is he doing? This is embarrassing.
He's one of the forefathers.
Einstein, for example. Yeah. That's actually fun fact. One of the reasons Germany wasn't even close to doing an atomic bomb, because they felt that the work of people like Einstein was, quote, Jewish science, end quote. Yeah. Turns out fascism and ethno-nationalism, along with conspiratorial thinking baked into the culture of your country and government, leads you to really bad places, not just ethically, but you make bad decisions in terms of what to research, too, because your bias is clouding your judgment.
Of the transgender movement. So, regardless of what you think about this period of the 20th century, it does seem bizarre that not only...
I find it so funny that he says this period of the 20th century. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I misheard him at first. Never mind.
There are these ideas...
Here's a link. Ba-doop, boop, ba-doop, boop. Post.
Resurrected in the 21st century, but they're being forced on us. Top down.
Literally no.
On bottom up. They are shepherding our children and our youth down a path that is...
I don't think you have children or ever going to, so I don't know why you're concerned. But also your concerns are misplaced and based on conspiracy theories. You know, the same ones Nazis used.
Is explicitly anti-male, anti-Western.
When? Again, I am telling you, I have played, literally, I think the last time I checked, I had done... Let me check real quick. I have played over 200 hours of Starfield since it released. Over 200 hours. I have not seen a single thing he's talking about in terms of, like, whatever he considers anti-white, anti-male, whatever. None of that exists in the game. If anything, I felt the game has been pretty milquetoast. Like, I like the game systems that exist, but again, I feel like it's going to be a lot better in 10 years after it's full of mods and content created by fans. But, like, the actual game itself does not have, like, spicy, hot takes on things. It's just a pretty, like, you know, okay game with fun systems and good, like, basics that can be built upon. The story's kind of whatever. It doesn't take hard stances on anything. I think about the hardest, like, stance it takes is, like, ooh, did you know corporations are corrupt? Like, yeah. We know. Fenekigami says, that and America was feeding the Nazis bad intel on our own advancements on the nuclear program. Yeah.
And of course, and probably most importantly, anti-Christian, which, again, Christianity would have acted as a kind of cultural immune system in previous eras.
What? What are you talking about?
Bottom line, according to this woke pseudo-religion, the world would be a better place without us. The future would be better.
I would rather you not be hateful, but you can exist as long as you don't hurt other people physically or whatever, and everyone's probably going to laugh at you, but I don't want you to not exist, I just want you to not be hateful.
Futurism itself as a concept would be improved without us.
Have you seen Star Trek? Star Trek is a similar idea. It's not about you not existing, it's about in the future people not being so insecure and misled that they fall for fascist, like, ethnocentric, identity conspiratorial stuff. That is good. That would be a good thing, because your beliefs breed a lot of hatred, which is not ideal for a future.
Us being the straight white male gamer, I guess. Anything
they fucked with gamers!
That compels young white men like you and me to exit from the gene pool permanently, they will encourage. Such is the...
Yes, I'm sure that's why you're not currently in the gene pool. Not because of your terrible, awful personality and clear hatred for the world and people around you. It's Bethesda's fault. That's cope. First name Bunch of Numbers says, hot take, I guess. The future would be better off without Nazis. I agree with you.
This culture of soft euthanasia pushed by...
Fucking what? The fact that you are comparing the fact that you are undesirable to... I'm disgusted.
By the woke status quo. And it's interesting to observe that the transgender identity itself comes with a lot of incentives.
Does it? Shit. Am I supposed to get, like, 2 for 1 at, like, restaurants or something? Do I get 10% off at the movies? Holy shit.
For disenfranchised, demoralized young white men. You know, if you undergo that transition, it's one of the only ways that you can be absolved of...
What the fuck are you talking about? Sir, I've been very, sarcastic this video because you're hilarious. And I know you're not going to see this anyway. This is a rhetorical tool. I'm trans. My transition had nothing to do with any of the identity politics, right-wing, cuckoo bananas stuff you're talking about. I'm trans because I've always been trans. I'm trans because even from a young age I knew that I wasn't comfortable identifying as a boy and that I wasn't comfortable with my body. I wasn't pressured into this, quite the opposite. Society is incredibly hostile to trans women, trans people in general. So no, my life hasn't gotten easier in the sense you're talking about. I haven't gained privilege since I've become trans. I'm personally happier with my identity, but I have far fewer privileges than I used to. That's for sure. Gnome Pickle says, allowing other people to be represented and expanding our view to more people existing means that I have to leave my special big boy pedestal, and that means I'm sad and everyone wants me gone. Hydrate.
Of your whiteness in the eyes of the woke society. Yes, you're...
I so badly want to know what in the world, where is even the racial commentary he's claiming exists in Starfield? He hasn't mentioned one single specific example of something in the game that is what he considers anti-white, other than the fact that not all of the presets were white men, which of course they're not. There's like 30 different preset characters that you can then modify however you want. What are you talking about? What would be the point if they all looked like the same guy?
Bloodline is ended permanently, but you...
Bloodline!
Do receive...
If you ever hear someone talking about bloodlines, run the fuck away.
Instant social power and capital.
What in the world social power and capital do you think I gained? People take me less seriously? I get mocked? What are you talking about?
Wield that power against others in society freely. You become a berserker of woke, neo-Weimar, neo-Marxist ideology.
Neo-Weimar! I feel like he's trying to coin the word neo-Weimar to justify his neo-Nazism. Yeah, that's not gonna stick. Don't try and make fetch happen, Nazi boy. Cassifel, thanks for 21 minutes, says, dear sweet Beebus the Months. And Gnome Pickle says, the only sci-fi these soft boys can accept, is this going to be Starship Troopers?
Captain, you and your men...
Oh, no, this is... okay.
are very welcome here in my suspiciously remote scientific research facility. Thank you, Doctor. You have a very attractive daughter.
Tell me, Captain, do all you Earthmen have such pleasing buttocks?
Doctor, her outfit is interfering with the men's instruments. Get her out of here. You must forgive Ammonia.
I love you.
We are alone here on Mephisto 1 and under attack from an alien intelligence in the form of a convincing visual effect. I see.
What does it want?
I wouldn't worry about that, Captain. Perhaps if we could communicate with the entity using my brainal mind plunger.
Father, no!
This is talking about many films, but mostly it's satirizing Forbidden Planet. You might recognize the star, Leslie Nielsen, for his later comedic roles, but he was, of course, a dramatic actor initially. So.
Forgive me, Ammonia. I have to do it. For science. Get back, Ammonia. The entity is controlling him. What am I being destroyed by? Is it my own creation?
My father is dead.
I know. Perhaps man was not meant to comprehend the great mysteries of the cosmos. But we do know this. The Christian God is real, and he likes America best.
Let's get married.
2 million years in the future, and dames haven't changed.
American in space?
That's fucking hilarious. So true.
And really, it's just so counterproductive to civilization to proceed like this, and yet
It's counterproductive to civilization to not allow this man to be a white nationalist who hates everyone except straight white men. So would you please let him be in charge of everything and hating everyone and deciding who gets rights? Because it makes his fee-fees hurt when other people exist that are different than him.
celebrate it
That doesn't seem reasonable.
because we're too coward.
Kinda sounds like he's impotently raging into the internet and then wonders why he's not, going for a swim in the gene pool, if you know what I mean.
To call it out for what it is, which is fucking sick and
By the way, here's my sweet-ass Freddy Krueger cup that I was telling you guys about. Oh yeah, that's good.
cruel. How have we let these people gain so much power over culture and of society in such a short period of time? Well, they wouldn't have been able to do it without the funding and without the lobbying and the gaslighting.
Have you considered that other people have just come to disagree with you because minority voices are being heard for the first time? And other people disagree with you?
From these corporations.
Is it glass or plastic? It's glass.
And pro-censorship anti-white groups like the ADL and BlackRock. The woke status quo is highly funded and it is inflicted upon us. You know, it's not something organic. It didn't form naturally. You know, this is...
Again, there's that conspiratorial urge to assume that people who think differently than you cannot exist naturally. No, it can't just be that people disagree with me. They must be getting paid off. There must be astroturfing. They've been brainwashed. That's conspiratorial thinking. Now, to be clear, it's completely fair to understand how media works, in particular for-profit media, and that all media has a bias. That's fair. That's true. The problem is when you take that to a conspiratorial extreme where you assume everything is bought and paid for a specific nefarious reason and it's all about undercutting my specific belief system at all times and it's all from the same central top of the pyramid evil source. That's a conspiracy. That's not how the world works.
This is a pet project of the elite.
Famously, elites like Elon Musk fucking love diversity.
Working in a kind of alliance with the worst of society, you know, people who are losers with an axe to grind. They're the ones that get
projection much?
Promoted in this culture. They're the ones that end up working at legendary video game studios who seem incapable of producing anything that doesn't in some way spit on and clown upon the average white male consumer.
How does it do that? Again, all you've said is that people other than you are given a focus, and not even, like, against you? It's just that other people exist in a plurality. How is this a personal slight against you?
In this industry, it is fucking disgusting. Like Todd Howard.
Yeah, I saw that about Twitter. I want that thing to fucking die. Twitter should just go away.
Should be ashamed of allowing this to happen. And I get it, you know, he's just a...
I'm legit waiting, because, like, Elon Musk has got something going on beyond the normal, like, Nepo baby shit. Like, is he legit on drugs? And I don't mean just, like, weed. I mean, like, is he, like, on, like, rich people drugs that have fucked his brain? Because I'm just waiting for the day I'm gonna pull up my phone and it's gonna be like, oh, Elon Musk explicitly says he likes Hitler. Like I feel like we're, like, a month away from that.
A marketing guy at this point. They just wheel him out and he sells the games.
He uses ketamine for depression. Doesn't seem to be helping if it's true.
That's what he is. He's just a salesman. Well, fuck him, you know. He's sold his soul. He used to be representative of a time when Western video games were fucking...
Western video games!
Great.
Did you guys know that the best period of video games is whenever you were a child and video games were new to you? Fun fact.
Starfield should be a celebration.
Do you guys know that the best Mario game ever is definitely Super Mario Sunshine? And that's objectively true. It's not just because it's the first one I played in full as a kid and actually owned. No. I would never confuse my personal nostalgia for some sort of objective truth about the universe. I'm better than that.
Of the Western
Jesus Christ.
Contribution to things like astrophysics and space exploration. In fact, the entire genre of science fiction, in its Faustian spirit, is...
In its Faustian spirit? I hope that one day this man wakes up feeling very Kafka-esque. And by that I mean I hope he turns into a giant cockroach.
Rife with contributions from the Western European male. You know, it's a white nerd thing, sci-fi.
No, it's not. It really isn't, and that's never been the case. Some of the most vociferous fans of Star Trek that saved it were women? Were women and, like, black people? Like, what are you talking about? That is objectively untrue.
And yet, look at how this game is presented to us. It's that, oh, well, the future's going to be bright and beautiful. And,
I mean, okay.
And queer-coded.
I mean, I would imagine in the future there will be queer people, although I don't know if that category will always exist. One would hope that someday in the future we would all just kind of consider ourselves people, and that dichotomy wouldn't exist, you know? Like, sure, people would have different identities and people they're attracted to, but, like, the fact that they're two very distinct categories, I imagine, won't always be the case. It'll just be, oh, you're into this kind of person, or whatever, or your identity is this. I don't think it'll be so, you know. But either way, yeah, humans have always had a variety of identities and sexualities, and that'll continue as long as humans exist, I would imagine. Sorry you expect the future to be fascist, and other people don't want that. You could always just, I guess, play a Wolfenstein game, but just let yourself die and just keep playing the same section over and over where Nazis kill you. That's probably what you're looking for, honestly, if you're looking for a future simulator that involves your belief system.
And black women and Chinese women are in charge, and white...
Yeah. And?
Men...
Do you think that's impossible? What? Like, what I'm thinking of is, like, in the UC quest, you do see kind of the board that's the head of the UC, and it's made up of, like, different people. Like, I guess I didn't take particular note of their, like, gender or racial identities, but yeah, it was a diverse group of people, and that's also the world. The world is full of different people.
Seemingly have undergone some kind of genocide in their limited representation.
What? Did you know that if men aren't overly represented in leadership roles, there's been a genocide? Holy shit, this guy's a...
When it comes to NPCs, major quest characters. Whenever you do see a white guy, he's usually in a subservient role.
What are you talking about?
Not only in the intro with the Chinese boss lady, but really this is like...
In real life, there are no people who are Asian and also a white person's boss. I don't even understand. What?
A universe of girl bosses. As if the ultra-competent woman trope isn't excruciatingly played out at this...
I don't even think that's how that character is depicted. She just happens to be the manager at the site you start at. Do you think that there are no women who are managers anywhere in the world, much less in a sci-fi future? What are you talking about?
Point where, you know, it's putting me to sleep. It's like, guys, this is so fucking dull. Women are competent, okay, Chud? It's like, Jesus.
It's like you... Okay, if you accept that, then it's not a trope, right? Like, if you understand that, yes, women are just as capable of competence as men are, so then it's not a trope, that's just reality. Nothing's being shoved in your face. You want to misrepresent reality by showing women as incompetent?
You know, I was playing Tomb Raider on the PS1.
Wow, based dude. Did you totally focus on her polygonal titties? Is that what modern Western gaming is missing? is tits that are 4 polygons.
And I never questioned Lara Croft's competence. I was like, you know what? She's rich.
Okay, sure.
She's got a personal gym in her house, which is a manor. She's got a butler. She's probably a Tory. I'm into it, I buy it, and also Lara Croft is an actual woman.
She's an actual woman because he wants to fuck her, and that's how you define actual woman, by the way. Cassifel says, my plan for the future, all white people will be brought to the big dance floor to be told to do some more. Drop down and do the dinosaur, or something. I don't know how evil I'm supposed to be according to this guy. Blarg blarg, grr, I have trans beams and shoot lasers from space. You're wonderful, Cassifel, never change.
Okay, sorry, Starfield sisters. Competent women in real life are really like the Chupacabra or the Yeti.
Oh, so he's really just saying it. He's just wearing it on his sleeve. All right.
In that they're kind of an urban...
Like, don't get me wrong. That's still awful. But at least he's open about what a shitbag he is and how ignorant and insecure he is that he needs to project this into the world to make him feel substantial as a human being. It's interesting.
Myth, really. You know, it's like, okay, yes, competent female miners, competent female fucking crab fishermen.
Women are incapable of crab fishing? These woke moralists trying to get women into the crab fishing industry. Gnome Pickles says, Lara Croft, also known as, to the people in most places she explores, that hyper-violent British monster who destroys our temples and took our national treasures.
Like, okay, buddy. But it's
oh my god, big crab fishing is gone woke.
not just the characterization that lacks inspiration. I mean, just take a location like New Atlantis, for instance. This entire city is just painful to me in its lack of creativity and ambition.
If you, like, have genuine criticisms about the design of the game, its locations, its art, its systems, its writing, great. I do too. But that has nothing to do with the sexist, fascist, weird bullshit you're talking about. You don't have to like the game. The reasons you don't like the game should just be based on things other than your clear love of Nazism.
Like the
Baja with a link.
During the
Oh my god, Maine's a 102-year-old lobster lady. Let's fucking watch it. Demos says, people like this make gaming spaces garbage to be in. They're the type to endlessly whine about how bad gaming is these days. This is the best time to be a gamer. The options are amazing. There are so many problems, yet so many whine about how they don't make good games anymore. Lies. You clearly just don't like gaming anymore. Move on. I see that so much. Where people like Jeremy of the Quartering or other chuds who focus on media will be like, things aren't good anymore. Amazing movies, games, books, TV shows come out every single year. If you can't find anything good, then it's not a media problem, it's a you problem. Like, I don't know how else to put it. Maybe you don't enjoy things as much as you did as a child, and that's, to an extent, normal. Like, as a child, everything's new and novel, and when you're an adult, not as much. So the sensation is different. But that doesn't mean you can't enjoy things enthusiastically, and if you don't, maybe you have depression. And I'm just saying that genuinely, if you, like, one of the major symptoms of clinical depression is the inability to enjoy things you used to enjoy, maybe you're depressed. Lara Croft is a British museum supplier. Cassifel says, Hello, it is I, protagonist. I am here to do justice. I have set fire to your crops, insulted your earth, and taken your relics. Put them in a museum because I want to look at them later. Put a big old oil rig in your ocean, set all the children ablaze, and loosed the dragon Ragnarok unto the world as to watch all that is wrought to oblivion. Job well done. How I've saved you, savages. This guy's ideal hero, I guess? Yeah. British racist hero guy. White savior man.
In the summer months, a local fixture can be spotted off the coast of Rockland, Maine.
I've always been independent.
She's a regular on the water, but a rarity in a sea of
Maine has gone woke.
lobstermen.
Morning, Virginia.
At 102 years old, Virginia Oliver is the oldest licensed lobster. trapper in the state.
Sorry, Fennikagami. Fennikagami said, I'm a white man. My regional manager is a woman in a male-dominated field. 2 of my 3 managers are black men, and most of my coworkers are black. Reality's gone woke, according to Chuds. I'm gonna reject the Black's Law just because it's somewhere.
And
I don't know where it is. Save the points.
Perhaps the world.
This is all I've ever done.
Working 3 days a week.
Excuse me, a loser on the internet who defines his entire identity based on things that he didn't accomplish because he's a loser told me that competent women don't exist. Can you please not, show me the opposite of that? It's really devastating to his worldview, and he might have to introspect a little bit, which would be just devastating for him.
She's earned the unofficial title of Lobster Lady.
What do you think about that nickname?
Well, that's what they call me, so I guess that's what I gotta be.
Virginia started lobstering at 8, learning from her father. And it's always been a family affair. She and her late husband, Bill, passed along their skills and work ethic to their 4 kids.
Was it nice working with your husband?
Oh, yeah. He told everybody I was the boss.
These days, she goes out with her 79-year-old son, Max. He hauls the traps, while
Her son is almost 80. Holy shit.
Virginia takes care of the banding and measuring.
So you measure it from the eye to where?
To the back of
to the back. Why do you think you've been able to do this for so long?
Well, it's just because I like to do it.
Even back on land, she says there's no slowing down.
That was a workout.
You gotta keep moving.
What happens if you stop?
You'd be in a wheelchair. So I said I'm gonna retire when I die.
That grit grabbing national attention and turning heads in town.
To get up and go like she does is amazing.
Adoring fans hooked as she recently made her way down Main Street for the annual Lobster Festival Parade in Rockland.
She's the salt of the earth. Fabulous. 102. She can't beat it. She's our staple in our area.
Tackling more than a century of living.
Is your arm getting tired?
No.
Showing us that a long life can be what it's cracked up to be. For today, Kathy Park, NBC News, Rockland, Maine.
That woman probably has more joy in her life every single individual day than this chud, this salty fucking loser, has had in his entire lifetime. And I like that. Keep winning, sis.
Designers at Bethesda think, well, we're going to create the sci-fi city of the future. And what does it look like? You know, New Atlantis looks like a San Francisco corporate business park.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with the culture of the UC, which I could get into and do a whole thing about how, honestly, the UC is darker than it appears at first. It has sort of a Starship Troopers thing going on, where underlying the, you know, aesthetic quality and very, like, sleek corporate look of the above ground, a lot of people live in poverty underground in the well, is what it's called if you haven't played the game. Not only that, but you can only have citizenship in the UC if you agree to military service, which is, again, the same fascist thing that they have in Starship Troopers. So I feel like you're maybe missing some subtext here. Like, again, if you don't like that, that's fine. You don't have to like it. But it is telling a story about this government and culture. On the surface, they use a lot of their space to keep up appearances. Look at all our walkable parks and art pieces. Meanwhile, literally underneath the surface are people suffering in poverty, you know, crowded in an underground area. It's commentary. God damn it.
/ shopping mall.
Yes, it's the shiny veneer over a fucked up society. It's the gilding around the society that makes it look better than it actually is. Now, the other major faction in the game, the Freestar Rangers, or rather, sorry, the Freestar Collective, has its own issues. They're a libertarian nightmare that's effectively like 5 corporations wearing a government suit, pretending to be a government, when really they're kind of a protection racket / cartel. It's its own thing. But the point is, in this game, if you actually play it and think about it, there's reasons for these things. You can criticize these things. I'm not saying you need to like this game or the decisions it makes. I'm just saying if you're going to talk about it, think about it and know what you're talking about beyond a surface level, I don't like this. Did you think about maybe what they were trying to say with it? That they didn't just go, oh, this would be fun, but they thought, okay, we're designing an RPG. What is the government like? What is the capital city like, and how does it reflect the culture of the government and its citizens? No. He just doesn't like it, and that's as deep as it goes. I'm just begging people to think for 5 seconds why things are the way they are in art. What about Ryujin Industries? They're one of the large mega corporations that makes up the Freestar Collective.
With a couple of Starbucks here and there, and everyone around is just this misshapen, gormless-looking Globo-Afro Walmart Amero blob just milling around aimlessly. Their unsophisticated NPC banter just grating on you as you walk.
I mean, it depends. Basically, within the game, there are two classes of NPCs. There are the individual named NPCs that you can actually have longer conversations with. There's dialogue, trees and stuff. And then there are just basically filler NPCs that are just labeled as, like, citizen, and they have less detailed models and animations because they're kind of just setting. You're not really supposed to interact with them, otherwise it breaks the illusion. And that's a fair criticism. If you don't like that as a design decision, and you would rather there be fewer NPCs that are more interactable as opposed to just filling the space, fair criticism. I don't necessarily agree in its entirety, but at least that would be a criticism about the game and not just you spewing racist bullshit?
By you overhear an Asian girl boss talking about how competent she is.
Again, literally just, look, an Asian person in this game, and he's fucking mad about it. Jesus.
You feel compelled to avoid. You come face to face with it.
Yeah, this is one of the unnamed ones. The model's less good, the animations aren't as complicated. The idea is you probably wouldn't be looking at this person most of the time. You'd kind of be walking past someone like this, the unnamed NPCs, and they're just there to, like, you know. But again, you can dislike that, but what you're doing right now and making it about this person's, like, alleged race, even though they're a fictional character, is fucking bizarre.
Afro-toting black lady, and you think maybe she'll have, like...
Yes, a lot of... I don't know if you know this. Again, most people in the world are not white. It's like he thinks the majority of the world is white. It's so weird.
Interesting sci-fi accent. And you talk to her, no, she just sounds like a black woman. She's like, oh, yeah, man, like, here on New Atlantis, I swear, I love New Atlantis. Wow, it's...
Oh, he's doing a racist voice now. I have not heard a single character in this game talk like that, for the record. He's using that vernacular just for racism.
And it's just like, for fuck's sakes, how is this even remotely immersive? I mean, I'm not being immersed.
When you go out in the real world and you see people who aren't white men, does it take you out of reality? Because if it does, can you stay out of reality? We don't need you here.
I feel like I am in San Francisco.
Oh my god, San Francisco! I don't know if you know this, sir, but San Francisco is one city. Most towns in the United States aren't only made up of white people. I don't know where you live, but please go literally anywhere else for a day and figure out why it's not a conspiracy. People just don't agree with you.
And I'm looking around, it's just nothing but Indians and weird Asians, and then, you know...
Again, here's a link to this video, just, you know, for no particular fucking reason.
I walk into the shitty fast food cube restaurant, and the guy behind the counter is a white guy. And he's...
Most of the restaurants don't even have people behind the counter, like the ones he's talking about.
Surly and rude. And he's just a twat. And I'm going, wow. What an ambitious vision.
The fact that this is what he was thinking about the entire time he's playing the game is so funny to me.
Of a utopian future.
I know. No white guy has ever worked at a fast food restaurant. Fun fact.
It's like the bias of these woke devs is on display so brazenly. They behave as if 20 years ago, the industry was gate-kept by white nationalists or something.
Historically, I would say that gaming has been pretty gate-kept by, like, white dudes, yeah.
Therefore, we have to make...
I'm not even saying this is like was a malicious intent by most people. It's just a victim of the culture in general that's very centered around, like, white Protestant straight guys. Not so much anymore, and that's nice.
Make up for it by persecuting the group that persecuted us, and yet this...
No one is persecuting you. You not being the main character of life isn't being persecuted. You don't know what persecution is. Holy shit. Paladin's Fury, thanks for 19 months.
Marginalization that they act like this was some kind of ubiquitous problem, like every single white person was celebrating bigotry 20 years.
No, but it was a bigger issue in that there wasn't inclusivity in media, and media didn't reflect reality. Media was very centered around this isolated, like, white worldview. And it very much starred white people. Usually guys. Not always, but again, we're talking about broad trends. And now it's less that. Which is good? You're not being punished.
Years ago. That's completely ridiculous, but they are creating a false history.
You're literally crying right now because there are Asian people in a video game. And you're trying to claim that there isn't some sort of racist or sexist problem in gaming. You see the irony here?
A false narrative that justifies their behavior now, because they're the ones who are doing...
Forrest Espion says, globally, quote, white people are a minority. The largest racial group is Asian. Imagine if this guy found out about it. That's what I'm wondering. I mentioned that earlier. Does he not know that in the world right now, white people are a minority? Forever, white people have never been a majority in the world. Just so everyone knows. I don't know if anyone needs to hear that. There have never been more quote-unquote white people in the world than other arbitrary socially constructed race things. Like, white people are not the primary group of people on the earth. That's so dumb.
Doing the marginalization. They're the ones persecuting gamers like you and me right...
Oh my god, they persecuted gamers. Holy shit.
Right now. Normal people who don't want to engage...
Normal people, aka white guys who don't like non-white guys. Non-white, non-guys, you know.
With batshit insane gender ideology. And the debate surrounding pronouns in Starfield, well...
It wasn't a debate, to be clear. It was a viral video where everyone made fun of a man-child.
This has become a hot-button issue. It's like a flashpoint in the culture war, as...
It isn't. The world doesn't revolve around the quartering, like, what was the other guy's name that actually did the fucking pronouns? Heels versus Babyface? That shit's hilarious. No one is paying attention to you seriously. Like you said, I would argue that in terms of this kind of shit, yeah, you lost, if that's what you want to consider it. But, like, that's kind of the point. Gamergate was, like, over a decade ago now. People just laugh at you and think you're pathetic. And think, like, oh yeah, remember Gamergate? Oh shit, there's still some people who do that kind of thing. You basically got psyoped by Steve Bannon. That's funny. Gnome Pickle says, remember back a decade or so when where dudes like this asked, why do you need people like you in fiction, when we asked them why every protagonist was a default white guy?
These video-related issues tend to be, and I've got to admit, there's some terrible takes.
Yeah, you said them. You said a lot of them.
Surrounding this pronoun thing, especially from characters that I would have thought would be a little bit based. It just shows you how mass censorship in the Biden era has had a chilling
Comrade Biden
effect on culture. And you're seeing it.
Biden put pronouns in my video games! Biden betrayed the gamer vote!
Here with guys like the Act Man, who was supposed to be...
To be clear, they've been working on Starfield longer than Biden's been president. I don't know who needs it. It doesn't matter, but like...
A little bit of a dude bro, right? He's this Halo YouTuber who himself has experienced the wrath of the woke mob for using gamer words like queerbo and... gay in a negative context.
Yeah, you shouldn't do that, and if you do, people are gonna call you out and call you a douchebag. That's life, man.
For the crimes of engaging in classic Halo-style trash talk.
Hey, if your trash talk involves, like, slurs, maybe you need better trash talk. Like, you're probably not very good at it if you're relying on slurs. That means you're not creative. That means you're trying to borrow the weight and effect of actual real-world hurt in order to make yourself feel better about a video game, which is pathetic and makes you look like a child. Just saying.
Maybe a couple of years after it was acceptable, well, he caught a lot of heat from that to the point.
Apparently he learned. Cool beans.
Point where even as one of the biggest Halo YouTubers, he was blacklisted by 343 Industries. He wasn't invited to press events, never received early access code, you know.
Yep. There are consequences for your actions. If a majority of people, not even a majority, if anyone in particular, including people who are in charge of corporations or businesses or whatever, decide, we don't like this person, we think they're bad for our brand image because the majority of people are against homophobia, that's life. Grow up? Sorry. Most people don't agree with you. It's bad for the bottom line of these businesses because, again, most consumers don't want this bigot shit. It's just obnoxious.
I would have thought a guy like the Act Man wouldn't be so quick to flip, and it's so easy to do that now. Flip from pandering to the counterculture to partaking in this woke apologia, defending the position of people that would have had him cancelled. And to be clear, they don't want...
Cancellation isn't really a thing that exists. And clearly he's not. You're talking about a stream he did recently. So how canceled was he, really, if you're literally talking about a thing he did recently? By canceled, he means people got mad because he said a thing that people didn't like. Oh my god, the marketplace of ideas! That's only good when it benefits ethno-nationalists like this shitbag!
I want people with views that differ from their own to even be able to earn a living. Which is why I'm...
If your views that are different from my own are that you're a Nazi... yeah, I don't really care what happens to you. Like, I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm a pacifist, pretty much, but, like, I also don't have empathy for you, and that's my choice. You don't have empathy for other people. Why do you expect others to have it for you?
I'm finding his cringe Starfield pronoun take so fucking disappointing because he's calling out fellow YouTuber Az from Heel versus Babyface.
I did see the clip he's talking about, by the way. The streamer basically made fun of Heels versus Babyface. That's it.
He's one of those, like, bottom-feeding eels. Feasting on the car.
What's with fascists talking like this? Everyone's a bottom feeder. Vermin, rats, weasels. Everyone's like vermin to them. You notice that? It's very extreme language that paints people who disagree with you as not only the enemy, but subhuman and deserving of, like, extermination. It's really bizarre.
Carcass of modern Western entertainment. He's like this wriggling eel. Watch him nibble the carcass with glee as he flaps about. My kind of content creator, basically. And you had the Act Man, who should have a similar take. Like, yeah, why are we turning our video games into genderqueer struggle sessions again? That's a bad thing. Well, no.
What are you talking about?
Oh, the Act Man thinks that Az is out of line. For having an issue. You know, Az...
I don't even think he said out of line. I think he just made fun of him. Which is, yep, that's life.
This is like, what the fuck is going on with these pronouns? Act Man's like, shut the fuck up, chud cell. He's on...
Let's see. To be clear, I don't know, like, anything about this fucking guy. Oh wait, maybe it's a different guy than I was even thinking.
There you are.
Maybe I was thinking about someone else. Was it? Where's the clip? If it's in here.
Customizing your character in a brand new space RPG,
and all of a sudden,
you're woke.
You didn't ask for this. You didn't choose this. Yet there it is.
What's up, everybody? This is the Adoring Man here, and Bethesda just released Starfield, what could be their biggest...
Was it a short, maybe? I know I saw a clip a while ago. I don't know if it's the same thing, but it might have been a different guy.
Twitter going, here, everyone look at this troglodyte, you know, let's make fun of as, you know...
Yeah, if you don't want to be made fun of, don't be embarrassing. Like, that's life. What is this whining? Oh, everyone made fun of heels versus babyface. Yeah, he said some cringe shit. He was cringe. He posted cringe.
This kind.
It's always funny that the least empathetic people are always the most upset and the first to whine when anyone points out anything they did or said was embarrassing. They'll just shit on everyone and say the meanest things about people and call for the extermination of people they don't like. But if you just, like, make a joke about them, oh my god, you're hurting, oh no.
Kind of lumpen North FC working class British man. Let's mock his issues.
Working class British man. He's an asshole like the Quartering who makes money by bitching about women on the internet. He's not some working class hero. He's a loser. He's an awful, hateful person who relies upon pathetic man-children to make an income.
With this very overt example of ESG-mandated wokeism in video games, like, oh, I didn't realize that it's not okay to complain about the fringe leftist takeover of...
No, what people are making fun of is that's how you're perceiving the situation. There is no fringe leftist takeover of video games. You're just no longer in line with the zeitgeist of the culture, so you think that normal things are fringe because you have no idea what other people think of the world or other people around them.
Culture at large. The right thing to do is just to submit. Yeah, you can make a straight he-him character, so why are you complaining? It's like, for fuck's sakes, we are in a culture war.
We're really not. Culture always changes. You've contextualized it, not you specifically, but reactionaries have contextualized it as a war because they have to. They have to act as though cultural and societal change is unnatural or not something that always happens and always had happened, because of course then you would recognize that it's futile to fight against it. It's stupid. It's like trying to fight the ocean waves, like you can't, you know? So instead they have to frame it as, this is a war, this is a new thing, this isn't just different changing attitudes. No, this is individuals and organizations making concerted effort to do evil. They have to completely reframe reality into a mockery of itself just to hold on to their backwards reactionary worldviews. Conspiracies are bad. Have I mentioned that? I know that's the theme of the stream, but...
Does he think that we all don't see what he's doing here? He is lobbying for approval from the woke Twitter sphere. He is
or maybe he just doesn't agree with you.
Appealing to their authority at a time when the left has almost total control over culture, artificially, in that they...
If you want right-wing art, then maybe you need to find some right-wingers that are talented. I know that's difficult, but, like, that's what it would take.
Gatekeep it. Everything is faker and gayer than ever. Actman is a fucking...
Can't imagine why this guy is having such problems finding dates.
Hypocrite for defending this shit, you know? It's like, have some balls.
You can just tell he's so lovely and secure in himself. It's just, he must be lovely to spend time with.
At a time where we need men to stand up and go, this is fucking outrageous. Enough is enough,
Clearly, there aren't enough men online screeching about LGBT people and women being in movies and video games. That's definitely, it's definitely an untapped market.
Outraged, I mean...
Even the Quartering's having trouble these days, really? You think there aren't enough? I think it's a dying trend.
That is, in essence, what Az was saying, you know, in his own way. He was saying, I'm being asked to shell out like $100 for this game. And all I want is a bit of escape.
I think it's $70.
And I have...
Which I think the whole thing where prices have gone from 60 to 70 is bullshit. And I know they'll be like, well, inflation. The amount of people buying video games has increased a ton over the last couple decades. So I understand that the cost of creating video games has gone up, but it's also a much bigger market. And in the age of digital games, selling, you know, making one copy of a digital game and selling it costs the same as selling 10,000 copies, you know, because once the game's done and people are just downloading it digitally, there it is. Anyway, I'm just upset that not only are we getting monetized out the ass about, like, microtransactions and season passes and stuff, now we also just have to spend $10 extra because reasons. Asinine.
Have a blue-haired weirdo feminist employed by Bethesda.
Can you imagine feminists existing in the real world? How horrifying. It's not. It's not. I would argue probably most women are feminists, whether or not they actually would define themselves as that. Because unfortunately in society, there's this thing where people are afraid to call themselves feminists, because the dialogue has been so shifted by right-wingers, acting as though anyone who's a feminist is like, you know, angry and hates men. No, that's not the case. Most people, I think, in the United States are feminists in the broad sense that they at least would say, yeah, women should have the same opportunities as men. Of course, there's plenty of people who don't think that, like this guy. But again, that's like milquetoast shit. We're not even talking third wave feminism. He's basically mad at like first and second wave feminism. Forrest Espion says, will there be time for this 10-minute video on the new Ager conspiracy guy? No. Not today, but I did save it, so we will watch it in a future stream.
And her/he/him/they, their job.
I'm assuming, based on how he is acting and how he's self-described, that this is a man. Right? That's my assumption based on how he has described himself. Sir, you have pronouns. Your pronouns are he, him, because that's how people refer to you. Whether or not I exist as a trans person, you have pronouns. And I do exist, by the way. See? I'm here on camera. You're mad at the English language.
Is to fuck up my product that I want to enjoy. It's like...
Your product? Oh my god, guys, did you know Bethesda spent like 7 years developing this video game just so this loser on the internet could have fun in a world where women don't exist?
Az is in the right. Az was right. Actman is a fucking cuck.
Wow, and you called someone a cuck, too. Amazing. Alright, I'm saving this person, because they are just... they are certainly something, aren't they? Fennikagami says, I was going to post some proper trash talk, but I decided to be a bigger man, and not act like a cruel douchebag. I needed no slurs or dehumanizing, but was mean, and I figured Hannah wouldn't appreciate it. Yeah, I'd rather you not hear. MH Darkbeast says, biddies for Queen Hannah. That guy was just mad the future isn't all white like the Jetsons. Did you see that even Zaslav couldn't keep him in the vault? Digital thing to pitch his voice because it doesn't sound like him.
I think I've got it.
Like Scooby-Doo did a crossover with Urkel a while back, and I think it was Jaleel White, but it sounded more natural. Like, don't get me wrong, it sounded like he was older, because he is, but it still sounded like his voice. This sounds like they pitched it up. This looks bad, but I'm not gonna lie, if I'm Jaleel White and someone comes up to you and says, hey, we want you to play Urkel again, and writes you a check as big as they probably an adult. Whatever. Alright. That's Tinfoil Tuesday, or rather, Tinfoil Friday. Thanks everyone for hanging out. Like I said, tomorrow morning we will be doing our YouTube stream, so I'll see you guys for that, hopefully. Cassifell's live. Let's raid Cassifell. Those are some thick goblin thighs. Alright, have a good night, everyone. I'll see you guys soon, and, have a good night. Dead air. I'm bad at this job. Alright. Have a good night, everyone. See you soon.